Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Juggernaut Bolt Action Podcast. I am here with Topher, say hello.
Hello.
I'm here with Pete, say hello.
Hello.
And we've sacked off Spurley for this week because he's assuming the role of Sheffield and flaking.
You can only have too many sacks.
I know. So in his place, we've got the Dundee Decepticon, the Aberdeen Autobot, it's Mr Omnicrom. Say hello, Ali.
Konnichiwa, motherfuckers. How you doing?
Dundee Decepticon, what?
I know,
They're just two Scottish places with the rhyme. They're just illiterate, aren't they?
It really gutted me.
Either of them.
It really guts me that I live in Edinburgh.
Everyone quickly furiously Google Autobots, beginning with E. We'll sort it out. Bumblebee Edinburgh? I don't know.
That's not really going to work, but...
I mean...
Anyway, thanks.
I'm trying.
No, I was just going to say thanks for having me on. I've been looking forward to this job interview for a long, long time. I'm dressed appropriately and not much. And I've had a couple of alcoholic beverages, so I am limber and loose and ready for whatever you guys are going to throw at me.
I mean,
quite nice. It's your first time, isn't it? So everybody gets one.
I should also thank you. You guys have mentioned me quite a few times on previous episodes of the podcast in regards to my painting and various other.
We like to give credit to where it's due for painting awards.
I know.
And you are legitimately very good at painting.
This might be an unpopular opinion, so get ready, guys. But we are genuinely kind of alright people, honestly. We do try.
Well, really?
I mean, well,
most of the time.
We'll see. Let's go. So, what we've been up to?
Not a lot, mate. Not a lot.
No, the world's kind of ended.
I've been wanting to play like 12 bolt action games. I've managed to play none.
So, for those who are listening in the future, because some people like go back and listen to old episodes because they're freaks and weird. We're currently in the middle of the coronavirus outbreak, and we're all stuck at home bored. Last episode was just like, yeah, stay safe, and this episode it's like, yeah, go and get your shotgun, guard your toilet paper, and get ready to get your Mad Max on.
Yeah, it really is. It really is turning into the hills have eyes out there. But you guys have been out shopping and scavenging for food or however you want to phrase it. Have you got that inbuilt anger now that when somebody comes within that 2 meter radius, the fucking dirty look, you shoot them as though fuck off. This is like mad defensive space.
Yeah. So you mentioned that, right? I was out at the co-op. I was out at the co-op at lunchtime, and somebody was just completely ignoring the distancing. And there's about 20 people just looking at him like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, it's insane. Like I was standing in the queue at local Sainsbury's, and a woman just stood behind me, and I thought, you know what, I've got a legit reason to do it now. So I turned around and said, "Excuse me, miss, could you take a step back?" "Oh, of course, yes, the personal space, personal space." She took 2 steps back, and then she bumped into a guy. I'm like, come on, people.
Okay, now.
Look, all I'm saying is my gamer stank of just being a horrendous gamer and a slob has never been better at keeping myself safe because no one wants to get that close to me anyway. So I'd recommend
because they all think you're tainted.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. To be fair, I've not been out the house in 3 weeks because a baby coughed. Honestly, a baby that had a cough, and we were all just like, "Shit, let's lock the place down. He's gonna die. He's gonna kill us all." It's just from a baby having a cough. So yeah, I've been working from home, and days are blending into one, and yeah.
I mean, there is a flip side. Have you enjoyed the shopping experience, Dan?
Yeah. To be honest, I quite like the new rules for shopping. I quite like the keep your fucking distance. Only a few people are allowed in at the same time, and it's 1 in, 1 out system. I really, really like it. I think it's made shopping a hell of a lot less personable, and I like it.
I love it because you don't need to be bumping into people. You can go in, it's nice and quiet, get on with your shop and piss off.
Yeah.
The other outcome that this coronavirus outbreak's had, I live in Edinburgh, as we joked about at the start, but Edinburgh has now become the best city in the world to live in because all the fucking tourists have gone. It's amazing. And then I think it was a couple of days ago, they announced that the Edinburgh Festival is cancelled. I cannot believe how happy we all feel about that. I know it brings tourist dollars into the city and it keeps everybody in jobs, blah blah blah, but it destroys the city for an entire month. You're walking down every street and there's some crappy little wannabe actor or comedian handing out flyers. It's like, oh, come and see my show, come and see my show. It's free, it's not shit, honest. It's like, well, no, man.
Time is a cost, and it's not what I'm willing to pay.
Exactly. And so, for the past couple of weeks, it's just been bliss. You can, walk around streets and see things that, you would never normally get to see, except everything's closed, which is totally fine. But yeah, it's just...
Well, I don't know if you guys have experienced the same as well, but we've been going for our daily walk that we're allowed to within 2 kilometres of our house, and going for the 45-minute walk every day. And the amount of people now that you see, they'll literally cross the road when they see you on the same side of the road, and they'll still say hello and good morning and stuff. So people are nicer and further away. It's amazing.
Dan, it's 100% it happens here, and the lengths that myself and my wife have gone to avoid going near people is phenomenal. We're walking along, and 200 metres ahead we can see an old couple. It's like, oh fuck, we've got the pram, we've got the baby. You know what? Let's just walk in the middle of the road, because you can walk in the middle of the road because there's no frickin' cars on the road. It's brilliant. Yeah, except for everybody dying. That's the bad thing.
Not everyone.
Well, yeah. We'll skip on that horrible negative, and it's the no wargaming thing.
The amount, I can't handle it.
So no tournaments. So we're going to struggle with things to talk about for the next few months.
Yeah.
Get ready for a lot of army reviews.
Yeah. That
you'll never be able to put in practice.
Yeah, not 2 steps back. I've not released the tickets because, let's be honest, August I don't think we're going to be going to any tournaments this side of the year. Because even when they start to bring things back together, it won't be, let's get 40 bearded men into a room. It'll be, you can go out to dinner again, as long as you don't talk to the guys next to you. So that's all on hold. So this episode, we're going to talk about our new Juggernaut format you're never going to be able to play, and we're going to review the Japanese army book, which you're never going to be able to play with. The end. Enjoy.
So sad.
And yeah, WTC, that got kiboshed.
Yep.
So we're not flying out to
Were you
Ireland
trying to
anymore.
say kiboshed then?
Oh, look,
He was trying to say kibosh.
Doesn't matter which one I'd say. You'd pick up on me. Fuck off. We still don't know when it's going to be rebooked. I think Dave's trying to rebook it for the end of the year, but we haven't heard anything. Omnicrom, you're one of the captains. Have you heard? I haven't.
No, I hear the exact same information you do, mate. Which is we're definitely not flying to Cork in April, and yeah, I think. The last thing I heard, it's either September or November.
So it's kind of weird because we've all submitted lists now, but come September, November, the game might have changed. And obviously, I don't if DJ's on deployment when it comes around, we're going to be 1 player down. So it's almost like
to find a new player starts again.
Well, would it be easier just to skip 2020 and just go straight to 2021?
You know what? So. My opinion on this one would be just can it as a bad idea. You got all our ticket money is gone on whatever costs. Look, just write it off. These things happen.
Yeah.
Don't break your back trying to get something done for this year and make sure that 2021 is top drawer stuff.
The thing is,
I'd rather have a good 2021 rather than a half-assed late 2020 and then a half-assed rush 2021 early next year as well.
If the worst thing for me that comes out of a global pandemic is that I lose 40 quid flight and 80 quid of ticket money, you know what? That's not too bad, really. People are losing their jobs, their houses, their livelihoods, and I'm just like, I need my fucking model money back. So, yeah, you need to do, Dave.
To be fair, we won't lose a 40 quid flight because the second we turn around to the flight operator and go, they'll give us the money back.
Well, Ryanair are going to cancel it because I'm just going to, stare them down until they cancel the flight.
Yeah.
Literally the day before. Shall I book in now, Ryanair? No. Oh, you cancelled the flight. Give me that money back then. There you go.
But I believe from what I've seen, Dave is busy using his 3D printers to build masks.
Yeah, he's building lots of PPE and stuff, which is very cool, and donating it to local hospitals. So if that's where my money's gone, I'm happy with that. That's all good.
Yeah, exactly. It's fair. You got to get some sort of positives from it, and yeah, just let's assume that they did somehow mystically manage to reschedule it for this year. We'd have to start the whole process again. People's availability, army list resubmission, just. And the thing is the thing is as well, for the WTC, it's not just bolt action. He's got the dirty Hobbit fuckers to think about as well.
Yeah.
Oh no, Mr. Frodo!
you guys will all remember how much I love the Hobbit people from the last WTC. So
the amount of eye rolling you did was immense.
Oh fuck!
It's when it was your reaction when the painting award went out to the Middle Earth guys, and the guy who hadn't painted his army won it, even though the guy who had painted it was in the same room and he didn't get to go up.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
what is this?
I don't need to lash out with the saltiness about that. You guys were sitting right beside me, and you all felt exactly the same. So it's done.
It was weird because I felt really old at one point. I stayed up drinking the Saturday night with the Welsh bolt action team and the English Middle Earth team. Oh my god, they were young.
Yeah, well, you do like young boys, Petey, so, was it good fun?
So before we move on and actually start this episode properly, any tips for getting through the boredom and the loneliness?
Paint your minis. Paint them all.
Good time to get through your backlog. Just get your finger right in there, drag it all out, just get it all over your desk, and then get to work on that bad boy.
And once you've finished on your bolt action backlog, well, you probably play other games. Get started on that stuff too. In
our game club, we've got a Blood Bowl league set up now online, and every gaming night we normally run a club on Tuesdays. So on Tuesdays we're now doing online Blood Bowl club night. It is non-negotiable. You need to keep social, keep active.
What program are you using?
Steam.
Blood Bowl 2.
Blood Bowl 2, yeah.
Blood Bowl 2 on Steam, yeah. And if you just search for Jugger Bowl, Juggerbowl, one word, and there's a little icon of a fish on there. If you request a ticket from that, there's myself, Pete, and Topher who are admins for that. We can add you in. But there's usually people playing all the time, so if you get onto the Juggernaut Discord and ask for a game on there, because most of us are either working from home or set aside now and furloughed for a couple of weeks, just ask on there, and everyone will be free at some point. So
that's fair enough. That's good to know.
I'm actually working.
I look forward to the whole working from home because 2 hours down to commute, 2 hours back a day. I can sit there and do some painting on my lunch break. It'll be great. And then because of this pandemic, I'm busier at work than I've ever been in my life. Oh shit! Oh.
Welcome to my life.
Why can't I work from home 24/7 and there not be loads of work? Oh well. But shall we get on with the show then?
Let's get on with the show, bro.
If we must.
So, in light of global catastrophe and the fact that none of us can roll dice, what better time to launch our next version of our Juggernaut bolt action format? I don't
think you've got launching this, in the right area, Topher, that nobody can play.
The thing is people absolutely love reading our house rules and bitching about them without actually playing them, and this is the perfect opportunity for people to bitch about playing them.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's basically you're giving the masses more fuel for their fire.
Yep.
To go on the Bolt Action Facebook page, bitch, and to give the admins something to do and some more people to ban when Spurley's already banned.
No, because as soon as Spurley's banned, the Bolt Action admins just furlough themselves until he's back.
So
my work here is done.
We've got a new version, which isn't that much different from the old version, but we've never gone through it all properly, line by line, going through our thoughts and telling you why we've done the things we've done. So we're going to do that this time. We've got Ali on, so he can sit there as the outsider and go, "That's a bullshit rule. Why have you done that?" And we can tell him to fuck off. It'll be great content.
Yeah. Well, the first thing before you really get into it, I'll just lay my cards on the table. I have got a deep measure of distrust for people that tinker with game systems. It started, when it comes to Bolt Action, it started with those WPD guys that brought out some weird format crap.
Oh, the .NET format back in the day, yeah.
Oh, that fucking lit my fuse so bad. Honestly. And the sad thing was, fuck it, it's not sad. I'm trying to pander to the audience here. It wasn't sad at all. Nobody played that competitively or casually in Scotland because it was just like, nah. Because at that time and up until the start of this year, Scotland prided itself. Whatever the word is.
Yep.
Prided. We'll go with prided. That we played the game raw, rules as written.
Yeah.
No fiddling. Just so. That was my starting stance. Before I read the Juggernaut format, and I'll be even more honest. I never read your first version.
Good.
But on reading this second version, I was really upset that I kind of liked it.
That sounds
So
so close to the heart. That does.
Yeah. So crack on, Toph. Sorry.
That's good. So from our ground rules, so this pack is, as we are fans of competitive games, this pack is kind of our little own special book of how we like to play. It is in no way the only way to play. It's no way the best way to play. It's just if you come to one of our events or you came and rolled dice with us at club, this is the set of house rules we use, for better or for worse. And a lot of people around the world have interest in them and have run them in tournaments themselves. It doesn't mean we're trying to change the game. It doesn't mean that we're saying, if you play rules as written, you're a knobhead. Even there'll be very many reasons you're a knobhead. It just won't be that one. So that's where this has kind of come from. So we're not trying to rewrite the game, and we're not trying to fully balance the game, because we're never going to balance the game, because the game's broken in ways we're not fixing. Things like points and the fact that a tiger is 400 points versus a flamethrower Stuart. We're not rewriting that kind of thing. All we're trying to do, and I've listed this out in the pack, which for like a nice intro that no one will ever read. So we're going to try and encourage players to bring units which are otherwise rarely seen at events. So, as to how many tigers do you see up north?
0.
I mean, what was it? The last tournament, it was our finest
Yeah,
hours.
Panther, 2 tigers, a king tiger, and a sturm tiger.
At a 500-point tournament, yeah. So that's all right.
That's excellent.
Toned down,
And that's out of 12 players as well.
Well, the one tournament that got ran this year, there was 20 players, and it was 1,000 points, and there were no super heavy tanks at all.
And they were all British paratroopers.
Not quite.
Okay.
Not quite. All but
The
one.
last tournament of the year in Scotland, which was in November, there were 18 players, 1,000 points, and it was raw, so there was no limits. You could go crazy. There were 22 Stuarts in a room with 18 players.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I had 4 of them. Amazing.
Yeah, we remember that list, you sicko.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was balls deep. But no, what you're saying, you're absolutely right that those super heavy units, and not just those other units, don't see the light of day unless there's a change.
Yeah.
Which is what your pack does.
Yeah. The next one we're trying to do, tone down or penalise the spam of units, which are all seen all too often. Dan, how many flamethrowers did you have at the WTC?
Only 4.
Only 4? That's not too bad, actually.
Yeah.
I was expecting 7. I know you have built lists with 7 in them.
Yeah.
I've done lists with like 4 snipers, 2 heavy howitzers, and 2 Katyushas. So, just trying to rein it in a little. Encourage lists.
That's only because I was limited to 1 platoon, by the way, because I drew the short. Otherwise, the list originally was 7 and 2 Stuarts, yeah.
Encourage list variety by giving all armies the same level of platoon flexibility. Pete, what do I mean by platoon flexibility?
That means that the Japanese and Russian theatre selectors are king because they don't get access to them. Everybody gets the same damn platoon.
Yeah, a lot of people whinge about Stalingrad selector and they go, "Oh, it's free fanatics." It's like, no, it's not fanatics, which makes it good. It's the fact you can have 2 of everything.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits.
Yeah.
It's things like multiple selectors as well, like bomb sticks and bomb dogs for the Russians and Japanese.
Yeah.
They're 3 per slot, so it just gives people the opportunity to bring 2 or 3 of an anti-tank weapon.
Yeah, and having a one fixed selector for all armies, it levels the playing field. You're not going to walk into a tournament with your, Dan, you mentioned your, generic platoon Americans with 4 flamers and the Stuart, which is, still a pretty harsh list. But when you bump into, it's kryptonite, or whatever that is. If it's the all Stuart tank platoon with the British fucking Free Artillery Observer, Indian Naval Observer.
Yeah.
It just all goes Pete Tong from there on in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the final thing we've adjusted is we rewrote the missions. We rewrote 6 specific missions which are designed for competitive play, because frankly the ones in the bolt action rulebook we find are really shit, and fuck them. If anyone's been caught out...
There's one that's good.
There's a couple that's good, but if you've ever been caught out playing Top Secret or Surrounded, I salute you, sir, because that game can go die in a fire.
Demolition, if you're not aware of how to win it.
Yeah,
too easy.
yeah. So basically, all we've tried to do, for better or for worse, is kind of trim the edges of the giant bush that is competitive bolt action, just make it a bit more fun. As I say, it's what we do. Nothing more or worse than that. So shall we get on to some of the changes we made, and then we can go through them all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, split into 3 parts. You've got house rules, the selector, and missions. Writings on the wall. The missions is just, the games you play. The selector is what the fierce selector everyone uses to build their list, and the house rules are just the custom rules that we've got. Which one do you want to start on?
Start
Should
with
we do
custom
this?
rules.
I was going to say, should we
actually,
do the
the
selector
selector,
first?
Selector? Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Let's start in the middle.
Yeah.
So, the way the selector works is it is a generic reinforced platoon in most ways, except you have a secondary point type called slot points. And these are used to unlock additional slots, or they're used to unlock specifically powerful units. So, for an example, taking a medium howitzer costs 1 point, whereas taking, say, a second machine gun team would cost 2 points. And you get 1 point per 200 points, so if you was playing a 1,000-point list, you get 5 points to spend on extra stuff. So the limitations on this is that it means you can't really spam units. So if you wanted to just take nothing but snipers at 1,000 points, you could fit 3 in. You could take 1 as your base unit, and then you could spend 4 slot points on 2 extra sniper slots. But if you did that, then you only have 1 point left with which to spend on things like multi-launchers and medium howitzers, flamethrowers, forward deploying units, which are all things that take up slot points. So the costs I won't really go through, because we'll be here forever, but that's the main limitation there. There's also some sub-rules, so multi-units per slot. If you're like Japanese, Soviets, or Americans with their heavy machine guns, would they get 3 per?
Just normal,
just
normal ones.
machine.
The free you get per slot only counts for the first slot. So as a Soviet player, you could take 3 anti-tank dog mines in your anti-tank team slots, but then you wouldn't get 3 more. If you brought an extra slot point, you'd get 1 more. So you can't spam these units in the same way you can in the normal game. And the main thing about this, for me at least, is that if you're like, say, a German or British player, you suddenly got quite a bit more flexibility in your list that you never had before. Is there a single German selector which allows you to take more than one of, like, any tank?
No, that isn't.
I think the British ones. I'm pretty sure as well.
Most of the German theatre selectors, other than varying the different mark of Panzer or whatever you can take, it's usually you can take 0 to 2 medium machine gun teams. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the good one, which is it Last Levy?
Yeah.
That's 0 to 2 of a few things, but it's a lot of shit things that you don't usually take.
Yeah, it limits your infantry options as well, and your tanks and stuff. That's another thing. There's no limitations over to what you can put in your slots. So you could put Home Guard, you could put Gurkhas in, you could put Commandos, whatever. There's no, it all has to be themed to a certain year. Now, you can restrict yourself if you want. That's fine. If you say, I want to build a 1944 list, knock yourself out. That is not a requirement for this selector. It's designed for game balance, not history balance, really.
So, can I throw a couple of things at you guys as the creators?
Yep.
I really love what you did with the first and second lieutenant, major, and captain. It's one.
Thank you. That was my
Really
idea.
good.
That was done, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
just because you never see majors or captains without the 50-point tax of having a second lieutenant first.
Exactly.
And it just makes it so much more tempting to have one.
Yeah, I really hated that. I loved that. Because as I said before, I hate people tinkering with core mechanics or core creation, but I see that as just being a really sensible idea because, a fucking second inexperienced lieutenant is a tax when you really do want, a captain for the extra boost if you're, designing an army around that. You'll get onto it later because you talk about the different units that are allowed and not allowed, so that's a whole separate question I'll have, but the slot points, so in the theatre selector, the platoon selector, whatever you want to call it, the selector, part 2, the selector, yeah, read the book. So it's 0 to 1 tank, cool, got that. So purchasing additional slots, so I've got my 5 slot points at 1,000 points. If I want a second tank, that's 3 slot points.
Yep.
Totally fine, get that. But then it's specific units, so you've shortlisted specific units out with that. And it says any unit with a medium or heavy howitzer is 1 point. So if I had to take a second Sherman 105 with a medium howitzer on it, do I have to still add that additional point?
Yeah, that'd be 4. That'd be 4 points.
Yeah, really?
Yep.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, man. Medium howitzer's a boss, mate.
That's because the Sherman 105 is probably the best tank there is.
Yeah, I know.
But that would be a list with 2 Sherman 105s and a bunch of supporting infantry. You'd win most games.
Yeah.
It also means, so if you say wanted to bring 2 medium howitzers, which is a very common thing you see in a competitive list, you have to spend 2 slot points to bring your second medium howitzer, and then you have to spend 1 slot point on each medium howitzer. So suddenly 4 of your slot points have gone out of 5 in 1,000 points. So suddenly that's your limitation. You can have your 2 medium howitzers, but you're not fucking having 3 snipers and 15 flamethrowers on top of that. You cunt.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side of that, if you wanted to go balls to the wall, you can take the 5 infantry squads that you've got there, and someone actually did this at one of our last events. You can take the 5 infantry squads and then spend 5 points to take 5 additional infantry squads and just go, here's 100 dudes and a major.
Well, yeah, Pete's done
that. Somebody did that at Rebel Creek.
Yeah, you did that at Rebel Creek, but I think it was Justin that did it at our tournament last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Not one step back.
So it's just it's when you first look at it, especially if you're not used to this sort of thing, you go, "Ooh, how can I do that?" But from what we found actually playing it, it's more flexible, and you've got more choice than you do anywhere else really, because there's no limitation of what unit you can put where. You can go, "Here's my theme," and you can build whatever you want. We've left it open on purpose for that.
I think that's what I'd hopefully, when your listeners tune into this episode, that they accept my standpoint, and if people that know me personally, they'll know just how much I hate tinkering, especially this .NET crap that preceded life. But I generally do hate myself for liking this, in that it's adaptable and flexible, and it can help each different army, because each army still gets their unique abilities on top of this. Granted, if it's 3 units, you still have to drop a few slot points in there as required. But
the aim of this this pack in general is not to try and tinker around with the rules per se. It's to just give everyone the level playing field, and I think that's what this is achieved more than anything. We don't care about how people interpret Tiger Fear and which version of it we should be using, but having Germans using this selector can suddenly be quite competitive again compared to the Russians, where they don't just spam 63 dog mines, then that's what we're aiming for.
Yep. No, all makes sense.
The nice thing about it is, with the selector, apart from pure tank platoons, you can more or less build most of the historic units you want as well.
Yeah, you can pretty much, if you can think of a theatre selector from an army book, apart from maybe like the Stalingrad where you get double everything, this selector allows you to build pretty much every one you want, plus a little bit extra. So,
yeah.
No,
you can still build a Stalingrad list. It's just not as over the top.
Yeah.
And my final point, which I'll come back to, is this is just one part of the pack. And if you like this part and hate the bits we get onto later, don't use those bits. Do what you want. We're not your boss. I don't care. If you just like the selector but don't like our house rules, then do that.
Yeah.
No one's going to come and hunt you down. Except maybe Sheffy, now he's been set under loose, but
Well, nobody can go and hunt them down because we're not allowed out our houses. So.
Well, now's the time.
That just means we know they're definitely home, so we can go and bomb them.
Right, shall we do our house rules bits?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is going to be the most contentious bit. Like, house rules are like a good penis. You can have them. Everyone's got them. It's nice to have them, but don't throw them in other people's faces. They don't want to see them, which is why I'm getting mine on show now.
I'll put your acorn away, mate.
Mate, this page is a full 1 page of rules. You're definitely not that gifted in the penis department.
So these are the house rules we use. Once again, we're not really trying to rebalance anything. We're just trying to get rid of stupid shit and make things more fun. So we've got 3 sections. We've changed some of the national characteristics. We've changed some specific list building rules, and we've also changed some specific unit rules. Which one do you want to go into first?
Let's do the national characteristics, because that's going to include, well, quite a few changes from the last one.
Okay, the first one, which is the most over the top, balls out, ridiculously change we've made. An army that has national rules in both an army book and theatre book may only receive the characteristics from one source. These must be noted in the army list. For example, a British or Italian army may choose their national characteristics from their army book or the Western Desert book, but not both.
He saved us from the Indians!
Game changer!
I don't get 200 points for free every game. What
No,
shit
you do
is
not.
this? I'm playing with only 1 crutch now, not 2.
I mean, that's
Fucking
kind
hell.
of just an FAQ that you'd hope Warlord would release, isn't it? That's all that is.
Yeah, that's just the way everyone should really interpret the rule, but no one ever does because it's worded horrendously, and it's.
I mean, I'm just as guilty as everyone else for that. So
Yeah, you are.
So we won't dwell on that one. Right, next one. Oh, Tiger Fear. We all love Tiger Fear.
Oh, just for the Germans, though. How can the Germans get the...
Bang. Tiger Fear is now just a fucking abortion. It's just cannot look at it.
Hey,
We all know the right errata to make Tiger Fear right was just to remove it from the Panzer IV and then carry on with life. Everybody reasonable knows that.
Yep.
Except it's only unreasonable people that actually get heard for some reason.
Don't you know it means that Germans are no longer competitive? Oh my god.
Mate, the tragic thing about it is, and I know exactly the joke you made, but the Germans weren't competitive before with Tiger Fear on the Panzer IV. Honestly.
I had an argument on Facebook once because a guy was reviewing our pack and was complaining about how we play Tiger Fear. And we all said to him, like, have you ever actually played our rules? He's like, no. And then he preceded that with saying that German house rules are OP as shit, and German players should be made to choose between Tiger Fear or all of the other rules. So you have Tiger Fear or Hitler's Buzzsaw and Initiative Training and all that.
Tiger Fear's not even that good. Even in better form.
Right. Look, we've spoken about Tiger Fear so much. Let's not get into it again. So regardless of what you feel about Tiger Fear, yes or no, pre or post fact, the one thing you wanted Tiger Fear to do was to convince people to use big German cats because A, they're cool, B, everyone's got a load of them, and C, I'm just being really, I just want to see some tigers on the table. I don't give a shit. There you go. There is no better reason than that. And Tiger Fear didn't do that because it just made you take the Panzer IV, and we already see a billion of them, so fuck you. So we've changed that up somewhat. So Tiger Fear, so for any German units that would normally have Tiger Fear, or if they were like, I know with like, you get like German armour support, don't you, for Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary.
Axis armoured support.
Yeah, basically, if you've got one of these units, you get a discount instead. So you don't play Tiger Fear, just get a big red marker and just scratch that bit out of your book.
Cut it out of your book.
Yep.
And throw it away.
Yep. Panzer superiority, you may select one of the following discounts for one illegible unit, so you can only discount once.
Did you say illegible?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Just get used to this, Ali. It's going to be quite a long cast if we're picking up on everything.
Oh my god, that is so good.
Just providing
eligible.
Just providing content, mate. It's fine. Right, so if you bring a panther...
As long as you're pretty, eh?
Well, I've got some bad news for you. So if you bring a Panther, you get to save 75 points off that. If you take a heavy tank with a super heavy AT gun, you get to take a minus 100 points off that. and if you take a super heavy tank, it's minus 150 points off that. So if you brought a regular Panther, you'd get it for only 280 points, rather than the 350, 60, whatever it is. And if you was to bring a Tiger, it would be 340, not 440. And if you brought 2 Tigers, it'd be 690, because you only get the discount off 1 vehicle, not 2.
And with this being applicable for Bulgaria, Romania and Hungary, we are aware that, oh my god, they're going to get cheaper Tigers. No, most of the time they can only really take a Panther anyway.
I think, the Panther's the only option you can get. So, and if they're spending 280 points of a Panther and you're calling them cheesy, just time to fuck off. You know what I mean? It's not... no, 360...
They've got nothing else going for them, have they, as Bulgarians or Romanians?
A 340-point Tiger is still a fucking load of points. All this means is it makes your list still mildly usable, rather than outright ganked.
And for those allied players, it's going, oh, why do they get freebie money off stuff? You've got free units. Chill your beans.
Also, if the Germans can't take good tanks, then what's the point? I don't give a shit if historically they were like, ooh, they always broke down or whatever. No, I just want to see a Tiger. We all like Tigers. Stop punishing us for liking Tigers.
Don't start the rag on historical wargaming, mate. You'll have a podcast that's 3 hours long, just full of a Scottish accent, just battering on about it.
So what do you think about this as a replacement for Tiger Fear, Ali?
Fantastic. I think if the Tiger Fear rule had remained the same, I think it would be a good replacement. With the current change, it's a fantastic replacement.
This is from a man that hates people messing with rules.
I know it's...
and he's not even too keen on us.
We're English. He's not supposed to be keen on it.
Well, come on, I haven't even made fun of your accent yet. I thought that's in the repertoire for later on.
Yeah,
when I've had another glass of wine.
You've got a British accent, so you're good. It's those dirty foreigners we don't like.
Well, I'm just waiting for Dan to pull out whatever the next accent is for this episode.
Whatever it starts off, it'll end in South African. Don't worry about it.
My accents are on point every time, mate. I don't know.
I can't throw stones.
Well, that Irish guy from the last episode, he was fantastic. I thought it was just like watching each other.
Oh, thanks, mate. I've got a lot of feedback about that one being so good, so thanks.
I can't believe
I will do a full pod in that accent one day. It will be about 9 hours long. And that'll just be the intro.
So with replacing Tiger Fear, don't worry, Germans. You're not losing an OP rule. You're losing a rule that's now really shit and getting one that's really good.
Exactly, Petey. That you nail on the head, mate. Well done.
And also, now opposing players need to actually think, my opponent might bring a super heavy tank. And then cry when they didn't bring anything to prepare against it. It's great. And don't worry.
My Belgians when I bought an FT-17.
Yeah.
You brought an armoured bicycle to a tank fight.
Yeah. But I think that's the rule we've got the most hatred for in the old version of the pack. It's not changed in this version.
We have leased it out to a few more nations.
Yeah, but all I say is I just want to see more Tigers on the table. It's nothing more or less than that, and this pack works for doing that. So there you go.
Yep.
Sue me.
Yeah.
And the last national characteristic change is Italians, their defensive strategy rule. So that's the one where if they're defending, they get D3 pieces of heavy cover emplacements. We've just given it to them regardless of whether they attack or defend.
But Toph, couldn't that be OP?
I've got 3 points on that. One, the missions in this pack, we don't have any attacker or defender ones, so they wouldn't ever get it. 2, it's kind of unfair to only give them some of their national characteristics half the time. And 3, Italians are shit and they need the boost.
Yeah.
I think the only thing differently you could have done it was just give them 3 emplacements. I mean...
yeah. Steady as we go.
Just give them the full 3 emplacements. You're still going to have a good laugh at them.
And if people think, Italians are going to be OP, kill 3 of their units before they kill any of yours and see how OP they really are.
It was more of a clarification, really, because Juggernaut Ant's got an Italian army, and he's like, how does this actually work? And I was like, you know what, I've never considered Italians as anything worth thinking about, so let's work it out. So we've just kind of folded it in, really. So yeah, there's the changes to national characteristics. Shall we go to unit rule changes?
Yep.
Do
you want me to do these ones?
Yeah, you can go.
Yeah. Heavy artillery. A unit that has a super heavy or heavy artillery piece may make a single run order during the game as if it were a light or medium gun. Basically, this is so that you don't have to fanny arse around with horse toes and other toes to get your super heavy and heavy guns onto the field during the first turn or in missions where you have to walk on.
And if you're wondering why exactly 2 of the more recent events I've played at, where they've played straight out of the rulebook, I've had to be that guy and pull my opponent up on that. How are you getting your artillery on the board? There's no toe.
Yeah. I think you had that at the GT this year, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, I felt bad and went, just call it a medium and bring it on. I don't care.
Yeah.
I didn't think the GT existed.
It doesn't, mate. But we're just referring to it as that just to give it, just to mention it. That's all. Doesn't count.
I just love hearing your rage. It's so nice. I'm just so glad I wasn't there because I know you guys mentioned in one of the previous casts about my feedback letter to the Blood Bowl World Cup organisers.
Yeah.
You'd have been on point, mate.
If I'd have been at the GT, I'd have just slit my wrist.
Like, if you were there, me and you would still be raging about it.
I don't think anybody came down from Scotland, and it's a good job because you lot would have lost your flipping mind after that.
Yeah. Next one, multiple launchers. Multi-launchers hit with a 2-inch template rather than a 3-inch, so they're a medium mortar hit now, not a medium howitzer hit. It doesn't affect the range of the weapon. It doesn't affect how it hits in general, so you still place the template and measure 6 inches from that. It's just now a 2-inch, just because multi-launchers for their points were stupidly overpowered with the 3-inch blast. Turret jam. This rule will not be in effect, just because the rule is never in effect at any event ever in the history of bolt action.
Do you actually get offended like I do when someone actually reminds you? Like someone goes, turret jam, I'm like, you fucking what, mate? You want
I don't
me to
even
roll
give them the
turret jam?
chance.
So I had somebody pull me up and go, now we're going to roll turret jam at the last event. I went up to the TO and went, okay, turret jam, he wants to roll for it. Where the hell is he firing from if it's hit from the top?
Yeah.
It's just a shit rule. Get rid of
it. It's like the Tiger Fear rule. Just fucking can it. Just bin it. Never pretend it doesn't exist. Naval observers. You may not upgrade your free British artillery observer to naval observers, and instead they can only be taken if you pay the full points value, i.e. 150 points for the regular version. It's just to stop you getting a stupidly OP unit for 50 points.
They're ridiculously good. I don't know whether you guys up north had seen it, have they? But
we have. I mean, I think it was our Scottish Nationals last year. We had a player that had 2 naval observers, and he had it was a British para. So it was all veterans and fucking 2 British naval observers. And on paper, it was like, oh shit, but he fluffed it. Probably through no fault of his own, because I think any time his head popped up to the sharp end of the event, good players know how to handle those situations. But there was a recent doubles event in Blythe, Guns Over the River Blythe. I'm not sure if you fellas were aware of it. So it's 1,000 points split between 2 players, and I went with we won it last year, so we went back to defend our title. Last year we took Romanians. Because we took 2 Romanian lists, we got all the benefits twice. So this year we went with two British lists, and we got all the benefits twice. So we took two naval observers.
Jesus. Did you make them all Indian as well?
No, we weren't allowed.
Okay, that's the line, is it? Okay, we found the line.
I know. But we had one Stuart tank platoon and 1 regular platoon, so I think we had 3 Stuart. Anyway, back to back cave. We had 2 naval observers. One game, they were absolutely devastating, and we were pissing ourselves laughing, and our opponents, thank God, were laughing as well. Then the second game, they just collapsed. When a regular observer just whiffs it completely, so nothing happened, and we got our asses kicked. And then the third game, they were just average. Yeah. But yeah, so it's that thing that when they go off well, the extreme is just too much. It's too good.
Yeah.
We didn't want to ban them outright, and we thought this is the next best thing. At least if you're going to take one, pay your 150 points and deal with it.
Yeah, and you're right to do so. Don't ban them. They're part of the game, and they've got a place, but you're absolutely right. They should cost 150 points because, one of these things, when it went off, it put 8 pins on a unit, almost pinned it out of the game. Fuck me, I shat thinking.
We've seen it where it flips a tank, and you're like, well, that's a bit shit.
Yeah.
I was shouting at my pal, Anne, who was playing. I was like, "Fucking shoot anything at that unit! One more pin and it's fucking gone. Draw the dice! fuck!" And it was I think it was Dom Soar. He rallied and was like, "Oh, you bastard!" Fingers up. Anyway, sorry to detract from this. It's all content. Naval observers, they've got the place, but they should pay the points.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just so you know, Juggernaut Spurley, that is not changing.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
Last one on this unit rule changes then is infantry, MMG, and HMG teams, the units that are never taken ever. When an infantry unit enacts a fire order with a MMG or HMG against an infantry or artillery unit, a bonus pin is automatically given to that enemy unit, and then another pin is given if the firing unit manages to hit. So an MMG team will declare the shot, put a pin on it if it's found to be in range, and then if it gets any hits, it then receives an additional pin, so you can get 2 pins per hit. This is just to try and make MMGs, viable, because before that they were shit.
And the automatic pin only happens once per turn. For each
so
unit.
if you spam MMG teams, like if you're an American player and you take 4 of them, for instance, you only get the 1 automatic, and then it's 1 additional per unit hitting it. So you can end up with a maximum of 5, for instance.
So you can spread the pins out. It's to stop you going 1 unit and chucking 10 pins on them in 1 turn. You can give 2 pins to 5 units instead. Stop being cheeky. It's only infantry units. Only infantry MMG teams that can do this, so it's not going to affect your Jeeps, not going to affect your tanks. And also, you're only going to get the automatic pin if the shot was actually possible. So if they wreck you out of the way, or you're out of line of sight, or you're out of range, you don't get the free pin. But so all that is if someone's in cover going down, and you're hitting them on 7s, and you want to give them a free pin, there you go. MMG's got a use now. Suppression. Da-da-da!
So, quick question then. I'm not going to judge this because I haven't tested it, so I'm only reading it, so I'm not going to go good, bad, indifferent. Yeah. But my question is, so I've got 3 medium machine gun teams, and I fire a unit of engineers, get 1 pin for declaring the shot, it's in range, roll the dice, get the hits, there's another pin.
Mm-hmm.
The second medium machine gun team, if it fires at that original target, I can only get 1 pin on it if I actually hit it. That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's correct.
But if that second medium machine gun team had to pick another infantry unit, it can get the free automatic pin.
Yeah.
And then roll the dice to get the second pin.
Yeah.
So, okay, right.
Yeah.
Just so that I understood.
We
understood
did,
what you guys said and what I read.
Yeah, this is the one rule we tested the most.
This is the only one that I wasn't entirely happy with, because I think it should be on the wound roll rather than the hit, but that's just my thought.
I'm middling with it.
Sorry, Dan, do you mean the bonus pin should only be...
No, it should be you declare the shot and you put a pin on them, fine, you've got a machine gun shooting at you, you should be kind of worried. But then I think it should be, if you're wounded, you should get the additional pin. So you get 2 if you're actually wounded. But I don't know. We've play tested this, and it's sort of one of those rules where in some games the additional pin on the hit has not been so impactful, and in other ones it's been quite good. But then that's because someone was stood in the open, and if you stood in the open with a machine gun pointed at you, you're a dickhead. So it's one of those ones where I can see why it's done like this. I think it should be on the wound, but it's not. I don't really care that
either
much.
Way. I've tested it. I'm happy with it. We'll see how it goes. If it turns out when we come around to updating it again, we don't like it, we can tweak it. And if you guys don't like it, you can tweak it. The key things are it's the idea of it means you don't want to walk out in front of an MMG because it can put a load of pins on you.
But again, this is a rule designed so people actually take machine gun teams because they were a staple in the war and no one ever brings them to a competitive event. And that's what this is designed to do.
I think of all the things in this pack, this is probably the thing that will generate the most conversation.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Well, there's a post every other day on the Facebook page, isn't there, about this is how I would change machine gun teams, and it's always the same shit every other day.
My thought was that I want every single team to have its own role. So flamethrowers is people in dug-in positions and tanks, that's what they do. Mortars are people who refuse to move. Snipers are good at taking out enemy teams, so what do MMG teams do? And in the past they did fuck all, you never took them. Now, they're very reliable pins, because there's not much in this game that is as reliable as putting pins out, as an MMG is now. Which is unique, it's a new thing, and I'd like to think they're not particularly spammable, because if you're using the Juggernaut selector, at most you can normally take, 3 MMG teams? At most?
5.
Oh, if you're American, yeah, you can take 5.
Yeah.
But,
But otherwise, then, 3.
Yeah, and for all you American players whinging because we didn't give you anything nice, fuck you can take 5 MMG teams now.
all the rules that you're talking about here and that you've discussed already, they all work in concert together with the selector, so...
Yeah.
I'm sure you could pluck this infantry, MMG and HMG team rule out and test it in a mainstream game of bolt action, but...
Well, that's what we did, isn't it? We tested this in our build-up to some of the events and just see how it worked.
Yeah. I mean, just play it and let us know. And if you don't like it, then don't fucking use it.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And if you're going to start whinging about MMGs and HMGs on tanks, piss off, you're cheap enough already.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll know that this is perfect if you get one post on the Bolt Action Facebook group whinging that MMGs are now overpowered. I'll be like, beautiful, done. We've done our job. So that's the last of the unit rule changes. So the last section is list building changes. So this is pretty small. It's more just clarifications, really. We've banned a few units outright. Special characters.
You ban?
Yeah, special characters and units.
So Kelly's heroes can go away.
As can Vasily and all of those guys, yeah. Warplanes. Nah, they're not official. War correspondents. No. And we've also banned horse and mule toes.
Look, their role is already filled in with a unit rule change. You don't get them as extra dice as well.
Yeah, people just, including us, just tend to take them because it's like a 10-point dice, not because you actually need them. And then once they've done their job, they stick around, and then they start getting points when they get off the board and envelopment and stuff like that. It's just more hassle. We don't need them. Heavy artillery get their free move, so just thought ban them outright. It's just not required, really. Just makes the battlefield a bit cleaner, and it makes it harder to get high dice lists.
Yeah.
And then I'll circle back round to the middle one. Orphaned units. So this is... I'll just read it out. Many of the units in the theatre books do not have clear instructions on how they should be used. These units can be used in the Juggernaut selector using the appropriate slot they should logically be in. E.g., Schutzen are infantry, Panzer Destroyer Trooper are infantry, a Bazooka Jeep is an armoured car, British Auxiliary Sniper is a sniper. It's kind of just a rule of just, if you find the unit you want to use, just use it. If it doesn't have any rules of how to use it, you should use a bit of brain power.
Common
sense and fit it in. I know it's a very grey, wishy-washy kind of rule, but it's not as hard. It's harder than it should be for a lot of people to work out where units are. And this rule's kind of a get out of jail free card for them, really.
Yeah.
Well, it's just something, you're trying to pick up the crap job that other people have left, in some of these campaign books and expansion books, that they're just so vague in their writing when it's just one sentence that's really needed for clarity. When they come up with a fantastic new unit, it's like, yeah, but where can I use it? What do you do?
Well, a lot of them have wording like, this counts as a generic unit for a generic platoon. It's like, great, but what generic unit should it be? Yeah. And this is sort of like, well, if it's like more than like 3 or 4 men, it's probably an infantry squad. If it's less than that, look at what kind of weapon it's got. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
I mean, they've got better in recent books, but it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, and also, this is only for units that don't have clear rules. So if there's a unit which says, this is very specifically only for missions with this specific criteria, so the Japanese night fighting infiltrators is the key unit that springs to mind, because they've got rules of how to use them, you can't use them in this, if that makes sense, because they're very specifically mission designed. We're talking about the units like the land mattress, which doesn't actually have any specific rules about where to use it. That's what this bit's for, not for bringing in the
I could have been using that as infantry all this time.
So the last one, which is another big one, especially if you're an American player, because you love to whinge about this, maxed out squads. So any squad that is taken at full strength and is 10 men or over may take their first LNG option for free. For example, a 10-man regular squad with LMG would cost 100 points, not 120. A 10-man regular squad with 2 LMGs would cost 120 because you only get the first for free. And oh my, don't people with very big army squad sizes and people who don't have access to LMGs love to whinge at this.
But I want my free. That's basically what it is. Look, you've got access to LMGs in some of your squads, so you can get them for free, but you're going to take the bars because they're better. And you know they're better. Chill out.
Yeah, this is trying to fix two things. One, min-maxing. Everyone just loves to take minimum-size squads because you get more dice. Also, no one ever takes LMGs. This fixes both by saying if you take a full-size squad, we will reward you with your effort by giving you an LMG. Now, my answer to people who are going, oh, I'm American, I don't get LMGs, why don't I get free shit? You can still min-max, you fucker. You carry on taking your 6-man squads with 3 BARs. They're as good as they always were.
and for those nations that have to take the larger 15 to 16-man squads, don't sweat it. You take a 15 or 16-man. Your opponent's already terrified of the unit size. Never mind, you're getting a free LMG.
And again, if you can't take units of 20-man like partisans, then just min-max like everyone else does. You know what I mean? We're not trying to balance things, it's just trying to make things more interesting. And what this rule does do is that you see a whole lot more standard platoons with a lieutenant and 3 fully equipped squads, each one with what they should have. And shouldn't the historical players all love that?
Well, no, because no unit was really at full strength.
Oh, don't start, Pete.
Who cares? They were designed to be at full strength. This is how they were designed to be. Just because war happened.
The point is, the armies you tend to see tend to be a bit more realistic, and the squads tend to be a bit more squad and not smattering of dudes. And it's just rewarding that, really. And it also means you actually see LMGs, which is great.
Yeah.
Do you see many LMGs up north, Ali? I assume not.
No, it's still quite. You still do see them appear. It's nice.
That's the LMG. New player.
Nice.
No.
Yeah, nice.
No, it's the thing is with Scotland, because we're all trying to. I guess we all play the game based upon the local area. You know, how whatever you expect to encounter, you try and plan for that. So you still bump into units that've got light machine guns because people think the rule of cool, and maybe they're partially historical gamers. But at the end of the day, Scotland, you'll tend to find that the same names will be in the top 3, and the chances are they do not have a medium machine gun team, they do not have any LMGs in their army, and they've thought about what they're doing. The points efficiency of it all. So, yes, you still see them. Do I take them anymore? No.
Would you with this?
Would I with this? No.
No?
And no. The only reason it's no now is that and we'll probably get to this when we get to the Hobby Lobby. I'm playing American.
No wonder you hate it.
Well, no, it's definitely got nothing to do with hate. Even if I backtrack to when I was playing with my Germans, I still wouldn't be taking it because I ran 6-man units and 8-man units, and that was just the.
I think the most time you'll see this used, especially at our events, is a lot of people, if they're taking things like Germans, they'll take things like Ostruppen to hold objectives, and suddenly a 10-man Ostruppen squad gets a free LMG. It's almost useful in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
On that vein, having had 5 of those squads up at Rebel Creek, I can confirm very, very useful. They become utter garbage without the LMG. You put the LMG in there, and your garbage is only trash.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that if you're going back to the sort of the start of your army, and you're building a good list, and you're thinking, right, what's your sort of anchor infantry unit that's going to sort of hold its ground, find a dug-in spot, or find an objective and just camp out there, then you'll spend a few extra points to get it to 10 men. to get the extra points of the light machine gun. So, in retrospect, with the German army, I might do it once to get one free LMG.
Like yours, for instance, you could have a couple of 6-man, 2 7s, and then a 10, and then that's your that's your one squad. It's your home base holder. It's your 20 points free for an LMG, and then your list hasn't changed that much, really, is it?
Exactly. That's precisely.
So I find people who would, like, in this, like, when I meet them at tournaments, people who go and bring a load of LMGs, they're going to bring them regardless, because they go, this is what they had, I'm playing to a theme, therefore they've got their LMGs. So what this kind of does is this rewards those people for playing how they want to play, and it means they might not get smashed in the same way that they would do by a tuned list, because they're getting a benefit for it. If you want to tune your list to the max, you can still do that. You can still min-max. You can still, do everything you used to do. It's just a different option. If you want to go bigger squads, you get a mild reward for it, and I like it.
So, gentlemen, the question that I had previously, before you finished off on the last rule, was there's theatre selectors. I'm pretty sure it's the Western Desert book, but they may have appeared in others, where it's the sort of artillery batteries. Like you've got the option, you can take like 3 or 4 88s or whatever crap. Did you put any thought towards those when you were creating this?
I thought about it, but then I thought they're very left of field style lists. And did we as a TO, did I really want those sort of things turning up at tournaments? Probably not. That's not to say they don't have their place, and that's not to say they're not fun to use. But I see those sort of platoons are more for like.
You can still take 3 88s in our selector.
True. Yeah.
No, you can't.
You can, because you take one as it is, and then each each artillery piece is 2 extra points, so that's 4. And they don't have a medium howitzer; they only fire
as a medium howitzer.
Yeah, but they're not a medium howitzer.
We had this question come in to us specifically for a tournament in the States, because they can fire as a medium howitzer. They're going to take that slot.
But you could the 88 aside, you can still build artillery lists, because as long as they're not medium or heavy howitzers, you can fit 3 of them into a list. But those specific sort of platoons, I'm kind of a bit about them. So I've not. This is kind of generic. That's not to say we might not add stuff in the future, but it's the same with tank. I put them in the same category as tank platoons, which is they're cool, but let's try and keep it a bit more. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Balance.
Yeah. Everyone's on the same page. There we go.
Okay. No, I understand. I mean, I guess I just asked the question, not so much with my Soviets, but my German collection of models and all that rubbish. As it tends to grow, I'm looking to see what other theatre selectors that it can fit into, just to use, units. And I've been looking at those theatre selectors recently, and it sprung the question up as to, did you guys think about that when you were creating this? But no, thanks for the answer. It's good.
I mean, you can still fit in 2 of your 88s, and at 1,000 points, you have 2 88s. Do you need a third one, really?
Well, why not?
Yes, you do. You can do a pack line though. If you've got like a pack 44, it still fires as a medium howitzer if you fire the HE. So you can just do that if you were that way inclined. Right, that's our house rules anyway. So the last bit is the missions, which I'd say the missions are the biggest part of this pack, and it's the one bit everyone overlooks. Nothing will fuck you over more than playing Top Secret, which you'll never get here. So,
don't know. Have you ever played Manhunt?
Oh, don't get me fucking started on Manhunt.
Played that at the second GT.
Petey, I thought you were going to say you played Manhunt every Friday night.
Whee!
Not since Corona lockdown.
It's online Manhunt now.
Ali, I know you're a loyal customer of mine. COVID-19, mate.
I'm going to come back to that.
Just everyone keep your passwords updated on Second Life or whatever it is. There you go. That's what all the pervs use these days, isn't it? I don't know. I'm going back to years ago now, back when it was in the news.
We don't have a perv on hosts anymore, mate.
I don't. Right. So missions, we've got 6 missions, which are basically all based on the missions out of the book, except we've rewritten them to make sense. And we've also standardised objectives and how you capture them in all of the missions, just so everyone's on the same page, and we don't have all in this mission you capture objectives like that, and in this it's like that. No, it's all the same, which is I think it's the one from key positions we stole. So yeah, if at the end of the turn you've got units within 3 inches of it and you don't have enemy units within 3 inches of it, so that's infantry and artillery, it's yours. And we've also added that spotters and medics cannot score and cannot contest objectives, just because, you know, we need it written because Warlord haven't written it.
And just so everybody's on the same page here, chaplains are in the same boat as medics. They're non-combatants. Their rules already say they can't score. Stop trying to game it.
Yeah, well, that'll be in there as well. One thing I've just noticed I've not done is I've not added objective sizes as standardisation, which I know Sheffy said we need to add, so that'll be updated before this is released. So the first mission is just kill points. We don't really need to say anything about that. It's just kill points from the book, really, just rewritten to be clearer.
And the only thing Toast done is doubled up the victory points for each enemy unit killed.
That's so when you're playing a tournament, all of the missions should average around the same sort of points for the winner. So that's why it gets double points for victory points for enemy units killed. The second mission is capture and control, which is basically key positions. The only difference is you get 5 victory points for controlling each objective, but you also get 1 point for each order dice your opponent lost. So if you've only got 1 objective, but they've got 2, but you absolutely annihilated his army, you could still win. You need to get 2 more points than the other, otherwise it's a draw. So basically all we've done is just added a death count kind of limiter in there, basically to punish people who've got massive armies. So if you've got a 20 dice list, great, but your opponent can rack up some points quite easily by just nicking all your shit units.
Yeah.
So there's that. We've got Alpha Target, which is basically the same as Capture Control, except it's one big objective in the middle of the table. And the way this works is you have points at the end of each turn, from turn 3 onwards, and you get points equal to the turn number. So end of turn 3, you get 3 points if you've got it. End of turn 5, you get 5 points, etc. So it's basically a massive clusterfuck. And you also get 1 point per enemy unit dice lost. And yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really enjoy this one. And if you're wondering why it's turn 3 onwards, it's because we play tested it a lot, and being there turn 1 and 2 just basically meant you were all way ahead already.
Yeah. It's a good one for right at the start of the tournament, because it will really split the pack up in terms of how many points people got. Because you'll have some people who managed to hold on to the objective all game, and they've got loads. You'll have some people who didn't get it at all, and they've got nothing, and you'll have some who actually swapped it in between. So that's pretty cool. Breaking the line. So this one's basically key. Is it point defense? The one we have 3 objectives on your board edge.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's point defense, but we've balanced it out and put the objectives along the middle of the table, not along one edge. So the 3 objectives are on the middle line, and then both players roll on, and both people have to go and take it. So it's basically key positions where the objectives are very specifically standardised as to where they're supposed to be. Mission 5, penetrating attack. Penetrating. This one's really weird. This one's like the craziest one out of all of them. So this battle is fought lengthways across the table, short end to short end.
That's massively different.
So your board's 4 foot wide, not 6 foot. And basically,
I know you're going to say a lot more about this, but I hate playing the length of the board. the only reason I hate playing the length of the board is that in your standard club or friendly local gaming store or tournament, it's a fucking ball ache to do it, because you've got all the boards are end to end to end to end to end, and it's just so impractical when you're trying to sort of look up, draw line of sight. You know, you end up switching from, you know, one long side of the board to the other, and there's sweat and there's meat bodies everywhere, and you know, more so
Oddly
for
enough, when we have lots of players and boards, and we can't get round, and it's harder for players to get round to the side of the table, we don't play this one. But when we've got smaller to where it's just a few tables, there's the gaps in between, this one might make an appearance.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah,
totally understandable.
But basically, so the way it's this basically envelopment, but obviously you're a bit closer to each other and you start deployed. Except you can't move off the enemy table. You can only go into the opponent's enemy deployment zone. But obviously, because you've got long table edges, because you're fighting short to short, you've got a long way to go to go and hide. So it's basically what you can't do in this mission is you can't just get your Jeep, run on 2 foot, and then next dice run off 2 foot, and then just immediately cap like 9 points. You actually have to hide it and defend it. So at the end of the game, you get 1 victory point for each unit outside of any deployment zone, so stuff that's in the no man's land, and you get 3 points if you get your unit in the enemy deployment zone, and you also get a point for each enemy dice you kill. So it's a bit of manoeuvring, it's a bit of killing. I really love playing this mission when there's room.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and so much better than Envelopment. Fuck off, Envelopment, you prick. I hate it so much.
Beyond the sort of narrowing of the table, you've still got the same distance to travel, though.
Yeah, but narrowing the table stops because we tried it the other way round. And if you narrow the table, you actually stop the swapping of armies, because you deploy one flank, your opponent deploys the other, and swap,
absolutely,
and
yeah. There's no way you can refuse a flank. But in terms of physical distance you have to travel, it's still the same.
Yeah. The difference is you can't escape off the table, so you can get chased.
Yeah,
you can get run down and killed.
Yeah.
And you can literally have a backfield unit deep in your backfield that will clean up everything coming towards you.
PA, you're always coming out with these like sexual innuendos. You've really got to rein it in, pal.
What's the matter?
You've got to say those. You've got to say those innuendos whilst looking deep into their eyes, licking your lips. Oh, look at that penetrating attack.
Pete, next time I'm at an event and you're there, do you want to do a grudge match first round, and we'll just see if we can freak each other out?
I think I'll win that. I genuinely think I could freak you the fuck.
Nah, mate, I'll be wearing a kilt with no underwear on, mate. I will have.
That's just going to end up with you two in the 69 position. You're just going to end up in the 69 position, brushing each other's beards.
See, you'll be wearing the kilt, the thing of your people. I'll be wearing a mankini because I'm not allowed to go naked.
I thought he was about to say the thing of my people. I was going to go, whoa.
Kazakhstanis.
Nice.
Yeah, schmeck.
The first foreign accent makes it in.
So yeah, that's a penetrating attack. And the last one is cleanse, which anyone who played Third Ed 40k will appreciate this one. It's basically sectors, but we've removed. So you know how sectors is just you count the units in the corners. We've replaced the center of each corner now has an objective, which you specifically have to go and catch. So at the end of the game, you get 1 point for your home objective, 5 points for the neutral objectives, and 10 points for your opponent's objective. And they're in the center of each corner of the map, and you deploy corner to corner and go and kick the shit out of each other. We've replaced the corners with objectives just to make it a bit simpler, because when you always have that, oh, are you in that side or that side? Oh, half units in that quarter, half units in that quarter, what do you get? It's just like, no, it's just nice and simple for objectives.
It also stops the artillery units deploying on the edge and just sneaking over going, hey, I'm 2 points now.
Yeah. It also stops as well, just again, both players refusing one flank and going at the other one and then just swapping armies again.
I mean, so that's the last of the 6 missions, but the main part of the missions is they're just all standardised in how they're written. They're all very clear, and they're all neutral, so there's no attacker-defender, which means you can show up at a tournament, play your mission, and although the mission will decide who wins, because you're playing it, no one player will win because of the mission. It will be the player that wins the game. The mission will just be how they do it. You won't be sitting
there. Are you guys ready for the reign of hate from all the British players because you've done away with Brit bombardment?
Fuck them.
Who cares?
You know what? They get 100 points for free. Fuck off.
Yeah, they're doing fine. They'll be fine. Prep bombardment's such a stupid rule anyway.
And, prep bombardment, I might have it on it's either, if we're ever to do missions with prep bombardment, it's either both players get it or nobody gets it.
Yeah.
Listen, mate, you've never enjoyed prep bombardment when you can back it up with 2 naval observers straight after it. Honestly. You might as well just
3 pins from the prep bombardment and there's 8 more. Oh, you're gone.
I mean,
just sit there and touch yourself. It's amazing.
There's no kill like overkill.
The thing is, we just don't want the auto wins, and a British player getting their prep bombardment while the opponent doesn't is almost an auto win. So,
Especially as most of the time, British players with prep bombardment tend to pick out teams on their preps because they get to roll the 2 dice. You kill one man team, the team pisses off real quick.
Also, like jeeps and trucks are freaking, like almost insta wins, aren't they?
Look,
Transports are death traps, aren't they, for prelim?
You've got 6 missions that are all very good, other than the commentary I made on mission 5 with the length of the board. They all make sense. They all read very clearly. You know, people will still come up with, can you forward deploy in this? Or do you have outflank? Those questions only stem from a lack of rules knowledge, so you can just bin them off. You know, if it says reserves, you get outflank. You've got missions that specifically say you don't get outflank in this because of the nature of the mission. You don't have any... Yeah, it's...
We've made it as clear as we can,
And it's like on Cleanse, they'll be like, can I only forward deploy my deployment zone? It's like, no, you forward deploy across the entire half of your table, you know?
It's also like penetrating attack. When I outflank, can I come on from 3 foot? No, read your rulebook very clearly. It'll tell you exactly how you outflank.
Precisely.
Which is good, So that's the end of the pack. And as I say, it's open season. Do what you do or don't want to do with it. Play certain missions, play certain house rules, play the selector, ignore certain bits if you want. So if Ali wants to play this entire pack but can go fuck penetrating attack because he doesn't know what fun is, that's fine. It's just the way we do it. This is how, if you come to one of our tournaments, how we'll play it, and we have a lot of fun doing it. There's nothing more or less than that.
I do have a question now for you, based upon everything. During the conversation about the missions, you were talking about the points, 2 points, 2 victory points for killing a unit, and 5 for claiming an objective here and there. So the points scoring here, that's designed to feed into tournament results?
Yeah.
Not just the game result to determine a winner or a loser?
So it's both, really. You will get a winner or a loser because one person's going to have more than the other, and that's the way you can work out your game. And that's great for club games, but also if you're running a tournament, it means you've got a very easy secondary point you can just use, which is how many victory points you got. And we've tried to standardise it that all of these missions should give you around about the same sort of points level, victory points. So they kind of work together, really.
So from a TO's standpoint, what program do you use? Like, how do you generate the draw? Where do you input these results? What systems do you guys use?
Microsoft Excel and pen and paper.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It works.
You fucking peasants.
Yeah, you know what? We don't run GTs where it all breaks.
Despite my day job, I do not have the time, money, or even the cash behind me to actually build a damn tournament program. Otherwise, I would.
If you guys ran the GT, you'd be using an abacus and chalk, face paint, paint and cave. Oh, nah, I'm back off.
Nah, if we were running the GT, you'd see me at that desk working out everybody's bloody score through Excel, and if anybody come up to try and give me some banter, they'd probably get stabbed with a pen.
Okay, so the reason I asked that question is that in Scotland, the majority of the tournaments use it's called Best Coast Pairings.
Yeah.
And we tailor it so that a win is 400 points. If it's a draw, you each get 100, and obviously if you lose, you get 0. And then there's the difference being is the dice count. So what's the net difference? So if me and Dan played and I won the game and I killed 10 of his units and he killed 3. But let's just call it bullshit anyway because I'm talking. If I killed 10 units and you killed 3, the net difference is 7. So the final result would be, what the fuck would it be? It'd be like 407. 407.
Well, you can do that with this. You can do that with this, except that you would account for objectives and kills. So if at the end of our game you've got 3 objectives and 2 kills, you're on 17. If I've got 1 objective and 2 kills, I'm on 7. It would be 10 points to you as a net, so you would just be on 410.
Yeah.
So you can do it either way you want, but we would do it as 5-3-1 or 5-1-0
So
or whatever.
when we take the scores, we don't even need to know who won. We just go, right, you scored 10 victory points, you scored 5 victory points, and from that we can work out everything. We can win exactly who won, we can see by what margin, so we know whether to grant you a major or a minor victory. We can just put all of those victory points in a spreadsheet and then just get to sort in order, and that'll give you your ranking. Basically, by the end of the day, everyone will just have one number, which is how well they did, which is all the victory points throughout the day. So you'll have like winner for the person who got like the most primary points, which would be major win, minor win, etc. But then your secondary, which is just how many victory points you got, really, really easy. Because we're stupid, so we made it as easy for ourselves as we can, so Pete can do it with a spreadsheet.
I can do it with a spreadsheet, and Toph can do it with Toph maths.
I can do it with Toph maths, yep.
I suppose it's just that question for those potential TOs out there that are wanting to use this. That's maybe the one thing that's not there, is that how do you playing devil's advocate.
That's devil's advocate, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. Because I know
if you wanted to use best coast pairings, you set your wins, draws, and losses at however many points, and then if you're looking for difference, like you said, you just work out the difference in VPs. Because despite a lot of these missions having both kill points and objectives, we've given values to them, so you can actually just take those values.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and it all makes sense. But there's one thing I've always enjoyed from events that take into account strength of schedule. Is that a term that you guys are aware of?
Yeah, we know of it. We don't do it because it's too difficult.
Well, no, that's it. That's where you need quite an in-depth program to run. Because I've gained places and lost places based upon strength of schedule, and it's something that I know we've spoken offline on chats or whatever, myself and Toph, about Blood Bowl events. Blood Bowl events are very much focused on strength of schedule because, it's win, loss, draw. You get bonus points for touchdowns and casualties and all that crap. But you can get so many tied placings. Even just for the minor placings, like, there's 4 guys tied for 10th. How do you split them? Well, strength of schedule will split them. We'll laugh about it. It's like, who gives a fuck if you're 6th or 10th? You're still a loser because you don't win anything. But
it's hard to judge something like that sometimes, though, because what's to say me playing Belgians, even though I've won a GT, is better in someone's strength of schedule after I've won a first game compared to little Timmy that's also played little Jimmy and he won by exactly the same score. But he's taken Americans or Soviets, which are obviously a better army. What's to split that sort of thing out? So it's hard to judge strength of schedule like that.
Well, not so much that. The strength of schedule is only ever done based upon the event. So if, all right, Dan, if you play 3 players and I play 3 players and we're tied for first, for a laugh, okay? My opponents finished last, second last, and 10th, and your opponents all finished within the top 10. You're the winner because you played stronger strength of schedule.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do about the historical gaming experience that anybody brings to the table. It's all done within, those 3 games, 6 games. Where did your opponents finish? So it's in your best interest that your opponents do well. After you beat them, wipe the floor with them, you've got to pick them back up, give them a hug, give them the tactics, tell them what they did wrong, and send them back out there to kick ass. Because you want them to win. To make sure that if that tiebreaker comes up, which is irrelevant for your pack, so...
Well, it depends on the tiebreaker. Our pack is basically how we do things. Tournament scoring-wise, we can change it up as much as we want because of the way the pack sits at the moment. If the TO wants to switch his scoring strength of schedule, they can do. One thing we've put in for Not One Step Back and for our finest hour was some tertiary objective points. So you got a point for killing an officer and a point for killing a tank. And we, using the wins, draws, losses, victory points, and then the little officer and tank kills, we've not had drawn players at all.
Nice. Yep. And well, that's it. This is the second generation of the pack, so you've improved it based upon your experience. So it can only be better than what's gone before it.
We hope.
Unless your Games Workshop. Yeah.
I don't know. I can always fuck it up.
Yeah.
And the only time we've seen a lot of these missions actually, like one of the missions we tried designing so it would draw. The only time we've actually seen that draw is been at the doubles event.
Yeah.
And that was Juggernaut drawing it.
Yeah.
I just realised we've still got to review an army book, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We do. Right, let's end this segment, and we might be able to get it done before the outbreak ends. We'll go back to work.
Just quickly, to all the listeners and people reading the pack, if you want to give some feedback on it, just chuck it to the email on the bottom of it. We'll quite happily read it. At least we might reply to you, we might not.
Yeah, or chuck it on Facebook.
And if you don't like it, don't play with it. But if you do like it, do play with it.
To like it.
It is not charged. We don't charge. It's not cost you anything. If you don't like it, just walk away. It's okay. Don't start a flame war. It's fine. Right, come on then. Let's carry on with this podcast beast. And if you only listened in to hear about the pack, see you later. For the rest of us, let's go and review the Armies of Japan.
Well, here we go with another army review, and despite Dan giving a miniature Army of Finland review, yes, we're not doing an Armies of Finland review, we're doing Armies of Imperial Japan. The last of the big 4 or 5.
Big 5.
Probably the best army out there, full stop, end of.
Just cut it there. It's the best army. There you go. Next.
Yeah.
Are they though?
Right.
Are they the best?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I have to not play at full strength because I'd make you cry.
Like the Japanese army seems to be like a rite of passage for people who are discovering bolt action, and it's always their first thing when they go, they can fucking do what? And they always, it's almost like, what, you played 10 games of bolt action? Oh, cool. Have you done the shit post about Japanese players yet? It's like a standard step on your road to bolt action experience. It's just whinging about Japanese players.
And I must say, with you lot having to play me and my Japanese, watching you guys go to tournaments and play a Japanese player, it's like, have you played these every week? And they just look at you like, oh crap.
And it still happens in Scotland as well. It's really odd that the Japanese are probably one of the least played armies out there. Don't know why, because they're pretty good, and we're about to hear why they're good. But just you see the look on people's face when they bump into them. It's like, how many of what? What did they do? Sorry, and they don't have guns. Oh, all right.
So then, Codex Gozirra.
Gozirra! Tag is going to be so disappointed in us.
Oh, the TAG, yeah. We should have got him on, shouldn't we? Oh, shit. Oh, well. We'll get him on for whatever the next shitty one we do. We'll do Chinese and get him on. I don't know. Right.
See, before we truly kick into this one, every time I pick up the Japanese book or I hear Petey crying on about Japan, are you guys aware of the musical works of a band called Steel Panther?
Yes.
Yes.
Asian hooker, hot little motherfucker.
Yep. Cool. I knew it wouldn't be lost on you guys.
Whoa,
Carry on.
Whoa. There she blows. Sorry. You got me off a tangent now.
Listen, I just thought if we were looking for a title for the episode, if
Codex Asian hooker.
Yeah, man.
If you feel brave enough, anyway.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. So, yeah. Army special rules. What makes them tick? Let's go with the first one. Death before dishonor. Dishonorable! So, every unit gets fanatics. Like every infantry unit. And artillery
Every unit?
Every unit.
Even the tanks have it, but they can't make use of it because of fanatic.
Fair enough.
Or artillery. In addition, infantry and artillery units automatically pass morale checks for being assaulted by enemy tanks. Note the artillery piece is still destroyed as normal. Probably the best rule in the book.
So, that just makes them an utter bitch to get rid of, doesn't it? You can't half them. They're just not going to fucking go away. You win a combat.
They take half casualties. They take half casualties. They don't test. You win one round of combat. They ask for more. You put 10 pins on a veteran unit. They don't go anywhere.
Just crazy motherfuckers.
I've got one weird interaction with this rule, and I wanted to run it by you two, or 3 even. Sorry, Ali. It says every unit has the fanatic special rule. Yeah, so your tanks get fanatic.
Yep.
When a unit loses in combat, it must immediately fight another round of combat. So when your tank gets hit, let's say by a unit of 10 guys with anti-tank grenades, it gets a 1 on the damage table. It has lost that combat. Does it immediately have to go again?
For fuck's sake, Dan.
So this is why I specifically mentioned, despite tanks getting it, they can't make use of it, because I believe the Fnatic special rule says it cannot apply to tanks.
Does it? Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care what the book says, Dan. That's not the way it's intended. Fuck off.
Well, no, it's just that, it is there, and I don't know if it is an actual.
I mean, it's
thing or
Warlord
not.
writing, Dan, so you're probably 100% right. But
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm going to
So-
let you do it.
running by Dan's theory that a normal unit charges a Fnatic Japanese tank, and the tank refuses, like, no, you've not killed me. Let's keep on fighting, keep on
Yeah,
fighting,
yeah.
keep on fighting,
Get
keep on
back
fighting.
in, get back in, get back
But
in.
you have to cause damage
So-
first, or else it's not anything.
I believe the tank rules say.
You know what?
Dan,
If these are the rules you're going to go with, we need to call this episode Codex So Wrong Way, because you're not going to have anyone. No one's going to want to play you.
I'm starting a Japanese army, so I need to know what to
You'll
not
be
take.
very wrong way. So Fanatics means if you lose a combat, you keep fighting forever. If you get halved, you don't give a shit, and you can't be pinned out. You just sit there forever. So basically, you ain't fucking off. You either need to kill every last one, or burn them with a flamethrower. That's basically your only two ways of dealing with a Japanese unit.
Yeah, just going back, if the vehicle survives once close quarters combat has been worked out and the assault is over, must make. So if you lose, the assaulting unit just piss off. No, Daniel,
Okay.
you don't get to fight
That's right.
forever.
It's just a thought that came to me, Pete. I
Can
wasn't
we
trying to
talk
game
about the
system.
army book? So,
I've got to make a point.
so Fanatics on an entire platoon, is it broken?
No.
I know you're going to say
Um,
that. Dan,
No,
Ali,
no.
what do you think?
No, it's not.
Nah, it's not.
So I always see this. A lot of people go, "Oh, it's so OP because they get Fanatics for free. That's like 3 points a dude." So a normal unit has to spend 3 points. So over the course of like an army, they might get 100 points odd for free if you took 30 odd models. I have two arguments for that. Is one, there's loads of armies that get 100 points of stuff for free. What's wrong with Japanese getting that? And two, it's only worth it if you actually consider Fanatics worth 3 points each, which it isn't because you never see people spending points on Fanatics voluntarily. I really like this rule. I don't like playing it because it's fucking frustrating to get rid of units, but it's really good and it's really themey. So plus from me.
You've got to remember that if a unit is halved and it's got 3 or 4 pins on it, sure, it's not going to care because it's a Fanatic, but it's still got 3 or 4 pins on it, or potentially more. It still might not act for the rest of the game because it might fail all its order checks. Yes, you've got the next rule that's coming up, but that can be gamed in such a way that it doesn't really matter.
I think it just really fits into like the Hollywood kind of Japanese themes, if that makes sense, of just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the mindless crazy people. How historical that was, I'm not a historian. Some say yes, some say no. I don't know, but I think in terms of what you would expect the Japanese army to play like, it's really good.
See, I don't see this as mindless crazy people. Because that end of the world and that culture was so different. They're so focused on doing their thing that we in the Western world go, holy shit, what the fuck? That it's just how they are. You know, patriotism was the thing of the day.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with Petey completely there. I hate referring to historical texts, but there's so many accounts of Japanese units. Their casualties were 95% dead.
Yeah.
Because they just would not let go. And then when you look at the game terms, when you see Fanatic appear in other units from other armies, they're Fanatic for slightly different reasons. The sort of SS fanatical zeal that, they just loved the ideology of Hitler, but it was so concentrated on just one unit or one specific little group of neophytes, I guess, if you want to use a term. But whereas you looked at the Japanese army over their entire, Air Force, Navy, Army,
Civilians.
of course, yeah, we never, thankfully never had to encounter the suicide civilians of the Japanese mainland. It's, as you guys have said, it works with the army, and it's not OP. If it was, we would all be running Japanese armies.
I think that it's a good army because there's board-wide fanatics everywhere, and it means getting into combat with a Japanese unit's actually kind of scary because if you fluff your rolls, they're dragging you down. And even if you've got good rolls, they're still dragging you down because they're just refusing to back off. The amount of times you've charged like a 10-man vet squad into a unit of militia, and you may have annihilated them, yeah, sure, but you lost 5 guys on the way in because they just refused to stop. Used to, to give up. And I think if you see these at tournaments, I think a lot of like the internet rage comes from people who just don't know how to play them. They don't have any experience of playing them, and to suddenly face an army of 40 fanatics, and it's the first game you played against them. Yeah, it's gonna hurt. It's really gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's all got to do with understanding and experience.
Yeah. And then the next rule, which they're kind of Hollywood famous for, it happened in real life. Yes, of course it did, but Hollywood actually pushed it on us as this is a thing. Banzai charge. So it's very specific with its wording, which we've got to pay attention to. If a Japanese infantry unit is ordered to run towards or charge the closest visible enemy, any order test for that move is automatically passed. Now, it does say in the main book, as if the unit had rolled a double 1, that's been FAQ'd to whatever it needed. It just passes. You don't get the double 1 lose pins. All models in the unit must then be moved directly towards one of the models and must make contact with the target unit if possible. Note that a unit can be ordered to run charge in another direction, but in that case will follow the normal rules and the Banzai charge rule has no effect.
That's a brilliant rule.
It's brilliant. It's very specific. There is a way to kind of game the movement slightly as well. You can kind of get one tail off at the end, but everybody's still got to make progress towards the nearest unit.
Yeah, I think that it just goes really well with Fanatics, because with Fanatics you can sit there and take all the pins in the world, but it's not going to stop your movement because the Banzai is always going to pass. So they just work really well together, because with you got Fanatics, you're better in combat because you just don't die, and Banzai Charge will get you into combat. So just those two rules in tangent have just created a really combat-focused army straight away. I just think they suit each other really well, and I think to get to grips with a Japanese army, those are the two bits you need to work out. You need to know your Fanatic rules, you need to know your combat rules, and that's to fight them as well. You need to know what they're capable of.
So the next one, which gets used a little bit, ambush tactics. Towards middle end of the war, Japanese were getting very good at ambushing units. So much so that the tales from US Marines, it turned into a shit fight. It's the reason flamethrowers were so widely used over there. During setup, any Japanese unit starting the game hidden, as described in the rulebook or the mission, may start the game already in ambush. That is amazing.
You never see it used, though. I mean, I know you do, but I never see anyone else do it.
Forward deploy, if you forward deploy, you can be hidden. Bam, ambush. Your sniper's sat there waiting for the officers to come on. Bang, he's dead.
Yeah, I don't see. Does Finland have that rule as well?
No.
See, Japanese are better
I
at
know
it than Finland is.
I know Australia have it as like jungle tactics or something like that.
I mean, it's really good when you're playing like specific missions where your whole army can start hidden, and then your whole army goes, "Oh, you see these like 2 medium howitzers? Yeah, ambush. Oh, and you're walking in front of them. Boom." It means you basically always win the dice war on the first turn because they can't outdice you because you're already on ambush.
If your tank can at any time can start hidden, this becomes really good.
Yup, especially big guns. And while they're on ambush, they stay hidden until they fire or someone fires at them, so you get that lovely -5 to their +5 cover. Isn't it -5 to hit, isn't it, in heavy cover?
-4 for soft,
3 for soft.
For heavy. No, it's 4 for soft, 5 for heavy.
There we go, yeah, that's really good. I just don't. Why do you not see it? Is people just kind of skip this page?
So I don't do it a lot at balls to the wall tournaments because I want the option to grab my sniper, put the fire order on, and shoot the other sniper, or grab my sniper, put the fire order on, and shoot that British forward observer because I don't like him. Generally, I have done it before with some of the missions where you can start most of my army hidden, I've started most of it ambush, because what's the point in me doing anything first turn? But I don't get why it's not more widely used, but it's not fantastic, it's just good.
I think it also depends. It also depends on how somebody's created their army for Japan. If I'm sure we'll touch on it as we progress through the book, but there's the spam of hundreds of models. Are they forward deploying? And then also it comes down to a range thing as well. The majority of your weapons are 24 inches, just being the basic rifle. If you're waiting for somebody to walk on the board, you're not in range anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely suits the things like your long range stuff. So your big guns, your tanks, your snipers, stuff you can reach out with.
Yeah, I mean, it's more a case of people don't know what the hidden rules are, rather than and they'll see this and go, "Oh, I don't really know where to apply that," and then they'll just ignore it.
Yeah.
I think any unit that forward deploys starts up hidden as well, isn't it? As well as any mission-specific ones.
Yeah, any unit that forward deploys can be hidden, and then and there's some mission ones. I think there's a couple of the attacker defender ones where all the defenders can start hidden, and using this rule, your whole army starts on the board hidden and in ambush.
There also comes down to a point where it's order dice in the bag, though.
True.
If you're both deploying and you're both hidden and you're on ambush and nobody's going to move, well, if nobody moves, you can't shoot anything.
Yeah.
Therefore, you've left your order dice on the table for nothing. So it may be that, but I've been looking forward to this section because I've played very little against Japanese, just because in the local area there are no great Japanese players or great followers of Japanese army.
Well, of the 4 special rules that the Japanese get, I think this is probably the least used and probably the weakest of the 4.
Yeah.
Definitely has its uses, though.
Yeah, it's very situational, though. I think the other 3 are all ones that you can apply pretty much in every single game.
Yeah.
So the last one, which had a small FAQ on it, but the FAQ's around the reinforced platoon. Show your loyalty. You can include Kempotai political officers as no theatre selectors, and thanks to the FAQ, in your generic reinforced platoon.
Woot.
Kempotai officers don't confer any morale bonus to nearby troops. However, the presence of these field officers is useful in stealing the nerve of untried units. If a green friendly Japanese unit within 6 of the Kempotai officer rolls for its green special rule, the player may re-roll the results. If you get that 1 and take d6 extra pins, which it's just a little awkward as a Japanese player, roll it again.
That is really cool, especially because the Kempotai himself is 15 points.
15 points inexperienced.
Even if you've got no green units in your army, just take him because he's just 15 points. It's just another dice, isn't it?
He's only a step up above a donkey.
Yeah.
I think he's 5 points more expensive.
Really good. He's really good at making the horde of inexperienced dudes. The only army that can do it anywhere near as well as the Japanese is the Soviets. But I'd say the Japanese are a step above that, just because inexperienced dudes with fanatics still don't run away. And if you take Kempotais and it allows you to reroll your green check, half the time they end up being regular. The only thing I do appreciate is when someone rolls their green check, rolls a 3, re-rolls with the Kempotai, and then rolls a 1. Yeah! You got what was coming, you bitch!
And then you remember their fanatic for 7 pins, and you go, oh, that was pointless.
Well, it delays them for a while, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It stops them doing what exactly the Japanese want them to do. It means that they're going to have to either banzai rally. So
yeah.
Now, I think really cool. I think all these rules together really, there's a nice coherent theme here, which is fanatical close combat infantry. And I think it really kind of focuses you in a certain direction of how to build your list. Not to say you couldn't build very elite, shooty veteran lists with this, you could, but that's not playing to the Japanese strengths, which is get all your infantry and throw it in the opponent's face and go, Banzai! And literally just run across the board. And create some mayhem.
And it also fits in quite well with how they had to sit and fight in a history sense, because they didn't have all of these extra toys that you see in the Western theatres, they had men and they had rifles, so they used men and rifles a lot.
I think as we go through the specific units they have access to, you'll find they're very limited in the toy department, at least compared to the likes of the Soviets and the Germans, which means they have to rely on their man with rifle. So it's a very good job that their guys with rifles are really good, because they don't have multi-launchers. They don't have access to loads of good tanks. They don't have access to all of these special, all the toys.
Yeah, they lack the toys, but they've got a lot of gumption.
Yeah. It's boots on the ground. That's what these guys are good at.
Yeah, you've got to kill a Japanese army. You can't just kind of hurt it a little bit and hope it fucks off. You've got to properly kill it.
Yeah.
You want to kill a Japanese squad, you reduce it to 1 and hope it fails that check, because at 1 man it must take a check.
Getting a tactical victory against them is not as easy as other armies.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. If you've played 10 games of bolt action and you're used to putting 3 pins on each unit and saying good day, no wonder you're gonna get pissed off by the Japanese, because they just don't give a shit. You're not stopping them. You might change the way they do things. They might sit back and rally and rather than sit there and shoot. They might just charge you out the middle of nowhere, but you're not stopping them potentially coming out and hurting you.
Yeah. So that's the special rules. As I say, they're quite nice. Next thing we'd normally go into is the officers and things, but I'm just going to say you're just really going to take your second LT out of this. You don't take him with a buddy because there's not really any point. He's not really going to fill in a lot of roles. Forward observer's too expensive. Your medic, you might think about it. To be honest, the medic's a waste of points.
I think especially in the Japanese army, like, because of the fanatic rule and because of the Banzai rule, you don't need the officer to get them moving as much as you do in other armies, so you can kind of skimp here. It's very rare you see anyone more than just a regular second lieutenant, because that's the cheapest you can get.
Yeah, it's just quite unlucky that they have to take a regular and not inexperienced, isn't it?
Well,
waste of 15 points.
I guess for completeness' sake, the only real variation is rules for a sword. If for something exciting.
Yeah,
just gives them tough fighter.
If the officer model has a sword, he has tough fighter.
Yep. So,
but most of the time, your officer's got an SMG.
Exactly.
Yeah, your officers you kind of skip really, and they're not the part of this book that shines, other than the Kempetai, which we've already discussed.
Yeah. The next part is the infantry squads and team. Big thing to note here, as we probably mentioned on previous section with our selector, probably not going to get your free LMG because your big squads are 15 men or 18 men.
I think that's the one big takeaway from this section, and one of the big variations on other armies is the physical squad size is, where it caps out. As you said, it's like 15 or 18 guys, and even the minimum size that you have to purchase them at, like, it's 1 NCO and 6 guys.
Yeah, they're big ass squads, and if you take like a full 16-man veteran squad and it's running at you, it's very, very difficult to get rid of it.
Because when you're going from other nations, where I'm going to buy an infantry squad. Basic is 1 NCO and 4 guys. That's 50 points. Great. Well, in Japan, no. You start with 7 guys, or thereabouts, depending on the squad, and then you add on from there. So, I guess Pete will always have more input in this, but the min-maxing thing works slightly differently in Japan, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little more hard work. You're looking, because the smallest squad you can actually field can only be a regular squad, which is 4 men on an island warfare squad.
Mm-hmm.
You're really just looking at taking advantage of your infantry. So a lot of the time I tend to take veteran infantry or mass hoarding inexperienced infantry more recently. Grenadier squads are always nice and fun, but you're looking at larger squads. You're not going to min-max like 5 guys with assault rifle. 1 assault rifles and 2, you barely get 5 guys.
the one thing I always see is that in terms of options, you're allowed one SMG, one LMG, and then if you want, you can buy them bicycles and anti-tank grenades. There's like no options there for tooling your squads up. You can't take Panzerfaust, you can't take assault rifles, you can't take SMGs. There's literally, it's just blokes with rifles and one SMG. And for saying like this army is full on fanatic and combat-y, there's a severe lack of actual tough fighters in here because you just don't have the SMGs, and there's very, very few units that have access to tough fighter. So it's a weight of numbers thing rather than a toys thing. They feel like fantasy or 40k orcs in that it's bodies on the ground, not toys you need.
And that plays into their army rules as well. And also, if you're not wasting points on getting SMGs and tough fighters, that's just more points for dudes. And that's how you play them with bigger squads. You don't need to waste, 15, 20 points on a squad for 5 SMGs. Just stick another 2 regular dudes in. Just pretty much does the same job.
Yeah, and one of my more favourite squads to take is actually the Grenadier squad. Now, Grenadier kind of, they've got grenades. No. They can have light mortars in their squads.
Yep.
Now, they're a bit pricey at 25 points, but watching somebody's face when your one squad can fire, alright, it's again pricey, 3 light mortars at 3 separate targets, and they're all separate targets to the rifles the rest of the squad's firing at. Absolute peach.
Yeah, this is one of the squads where you look at it and you think, it's not that impressive really, but in one turn it can really bury its teeth, and it can really fuck up quite a lot of your army. If it hits even one weapons team and puts a pin on another squad just from the rifles, you're going to start noticing it very, very quickly.
Yeah,
I tend to use these Grenadier squads for. I tend to bunch up the mortars into one squad. I tend to use them for digging out veteran infantry because it's much cheaper than having larger howitzers around, and it's much more manoeuvrable. And digging out multiple snipers because you can fire at all 3 snipers if your opponent's got 3 of them.
Yeah, the split fire is great.
Another thing to remember on these guys as well is if someone's brought an artillery piece like a heavy like an anti-tank gun or a howitzer, just have one mortar from this squad splitting off every turn to shoot it, because eventually you'll get a hit, and then a 6 exceptional damages it and kills it outright for 25 points.
I think it's just unique. No other army can really do them. I guess they can now with rifle grenades and stuff, but
rifle grenades are a slightly shorter range as well.
Yeah, sure. So it's 2 foot, isn't it, for a light mortar?
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever your rifles can hit, yeah.
And remember, the light mortars in the teams can move and shoot as well. So they're not like the mediums and heavies where you've got to stand still. These guys are actually quite manoeuvrable while still maintaining their full firepower.
Mm. And that's up to 3 mortars per squad for the early war ones. I think don't the late war ones limit them to 1 per squad?
If you're taking late war, you can't take Grenadiers at all.
Okay.
However, every infantry squad can take a light mortar at late war.
Okay, sure.
So yes, you can use 48 points on your 10-man infantry squad to have an SMG, an LMG, and a light mortar for no reason.
But that's even if you're accepting, early, mid, and late war as terminologies. We're playing bolt action competitively. It's just war.
Yeah.
It's just war. War.
Yeah. Would you prefer taking the squad where you have 3 light mortars in one squad, or is it better to split them all up?
I'd rather have them in one squad. You can manage them a lot more effectively. If they're spread across the board, you might not use one effectively, and you might use another one really well.
I suppose in the end as well, if you've got 3 light mortars in one squad, you're only waiting on 1 order dice to come out to enact, a good plan. You're not having to wait on 3 separate units to see what 3 separate light mortars do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds reasonable.
These guys were my pick from the whole section. Be they regular grenadier or veteran grenadier, to have 3 light mortars. I don't see myself having a Japanese army anytime in the next 18 months, but at some point I'm gonna be having these guys in it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the light mortars themselves are not particularly accurate because they'll only hit on 6s and then subsequent, +1s for every turn, whatever. But the second they do get a hit, suddenly having something that can split fire and reliably put D2 pins on a unit every turn on 2s is suddenly actually quite a scary thing.
And the thing I use these for mostly is going and sitting on an objective, because if you're on an objective, you don't need to move, and your mortars become even better.
Yeah.
So, moving on to other squads in the book, the SNLF. Well, are they basically like the Japanese Marines? Have I got that right?
So, SNLF, which is a Special Naval Landing Force, it's basically the Marines. They're basically just veterans, but they can have an extra SMG.
Worth it. Isn't that the same for the Titan Shudan paratrooper squads? They're basically just veterans, but they can take up to 3 SMGs.
Yeah, and you can have the same entry represent the Riku Sentai paratroopers for the SNF as well.
Oh, so I guess that when you want to get the tough fighter in, because that's going to really ramp up your combat ability, even if it's only on 3 guys, that's definitely worth it as a key unit to go. If you just want, I want veteran dudes to get stuck in, they'll do it.
Yeah, more or less. But if you want to get stuck in, let's be honest, you go the opposite way. Fearing you take the militia squads and you take the bamboo spear fighters.
I've never seen anyone ever complain about bamboo spear fighters ever.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear about these bamboo spear fighters. I've never encountered them before.
Have you not? All right. Well, they start at 5
No. Big pile of bullshit. Fucking.
What do you mean?
I'm sick of seeing.
The weapons are only sharpened bamboo spears.
Jesus, I've seen more bamboo than fucking pandas have, mate.
This is why pandas are extinct, because all the bloody bamboo went to the spears.
Starve to death.
Yeah, so the scary thing about these squads is they can go up to 50 men. The bamboo squads are cheap as balls, I'll be honest. At 75 points for 15 men that are fanatical and green. Oh god.
5 points a dude, that's so cheap.
This is where the Kempertai really comes into play, isn't it? A couple of militia squads or a couple of bamboo spear fighters, or maybe even 2 of each, just with a Kempertai or 2 behind them, just to, give you that, turns it from a 30% or 33% chance to like a 60% chance that these guys are going to get to regular.
Jesus, that reeks of maths. Oh.
Yeah.
Good job I didn't do it.
It'd be 100%.
Yeah, it'd be 60% of the time it works every time.
If just think of it this way, if you went up to a board and saw 4 squads of 15 spear fighters, and then your opponent turned around and went, these are probably going to be regular after the first time you shoot them, and I'm only paying 70 points for all of these, you'd probably flip the table and go, well, you fucking what?
Yeah.
I think
they're an essential, aren't they?
The key with these is they're stupid cheap. They're going to run at you and fight you in combat because they can't do anything else. And they're going to win most things because they got more dudes than you, they're fanatic, and generally in combat it doesn't matter how good you are because you're still rolling just straight damage. The thing I would say is that they are still just inexperienced. And people go, oh my god, I've got bamboo spear fighters, they're amazing. But you know what, if they run into a squad with SMGs on ambush, they will get shredded. They're still just inexperienced dudes. So you kind of have to babysit them on the way in. If you don't have Kempertais to spam around, because they're a very big target on their head. And they're not the best at taking cover, because they don't want to take cover, they want to charge you. At some point you're going to have to run over open ground, and you're going to get shot to shit. At least, that's what I do to other people's bamboo spear fighters anyway.
Yeah, leave mine alone. To be fair, I really like the way they hold objectives as well, because people then have to come up to you, because what they shoot at you, you go down, it's going to be hard. They're going to have to get within 6. Second they're within 6, they're getting charged.
Yeah, makes complete sense.
And then you have the militia squad, which is basically an upgrade to the bamboo spear fighter. For 2 points each, you give them a rifle. Pete, you're the only person I see using militia squads. Everyone else I see just goes, fuck it, bamboo. So do you think the 2 points per man to give them a rifle is worth it?
Yeah, the second you turn regular with these guys, you've got basically 30 points off of rifles. And, at this point, you've got more men on the board, you're firing your rifles. Now, I wouldn't rely on them, but they are going to become in use for, holding that home objective or just getting in the way. A lot of the time I use these things to get in the way.
I mean, they're one of the few units you can actually take at 5 men. isn't it, in this book? So you can legitimately get 5 of them for 35 points. I know that's not as good as 5 bamboos for 25, but they can sit there at the back shooting the whole time and basically do what other armies do, like Strafbat. I guess this is their equivalent of just, here's what I'm going to take an objective with.
Yeah. And I mean, there is a unit that Japanese can get a hold of. Jerky. They come in the Empire in Flames book. They're called the Indian National Army. But they specifically state they do not use the Japanese special rules. Which means that, no, you're not taking them ever. They're garbage.
Are there any other fun units from the theatre books? I think the main one's Empire in Flames the Japanese have got. And they've also got
they've got Papua New Guinea as well. So you've got engineer squads in there, but they're limited to 1 per platoon, which makes sense, really. A fanatical flamethrower in a squad is quite hard to get rid of.
So I can't take 4 flamethrowers?
You can take 2,
What's
mate.
the point of playing Japanese?
Because if you're in range for a flamethrower, you're in range to charge them anyway.
I know you are.
You only need it for anti-tank.
Yeah.
Well, the same can be said for the submachine guns. If you're in range to fire an SMG, fucking charge.
You're buying it for tough fighters rather than shooting it, I'd imagine.
But the rationale already spoken about is that strip out SMGs to get more guys.
Yeah. And I mean, you can also get a hold of cavalry squads. Now, they call themselves Manchukuo. Historically, Japan had a stake in Manchukuo, which is Manchuria. But it's effectively Japanese cavalry squads as well. They're capped at regular because you can either buy them tough fighters or have them bought with a horse. No, you're not having veteran fanatical horsemen. Get a life.
I've never seen these on the table, ever. And I don't know why, because aren't they like 1 point more than a normal regular guy? And hey, look, it's a Japanese guy with tough fighters. Why would you not take that?
Regular.
It's because it's a theatre book, isn't it?
I guess.
Is it not because do they suffer from that rule that their cavalry can charge?
No, they
They
suffer
don't.
from that.
Okay, that's good then.
So
Yeah,
you can either take them as cavalry, and have all the bonuses that cavalry have, or you can just have tough fighter on them and use them as infantry. Now the thing with this is most TOs tend to go, no, you're not having those squads, and also most Japanese players, they either go all vet or a ton of inexperience. They never sit in the middle with a regular.
What book
because the
are these
squads are
guys in?
regular. Empire in Flames.
Is remind me from the publication, was Empire in Flames published during the first edition of the game?
Yes.
I think so, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yep. So that's why you don't see them anymore. First edition Tough Fighter was better because you rolled 2 dice.
Yeah.
So that's why you would have the cavalry, because you roll 2 dice when you charged. But now that you don't see them.
I mean, it's still a fanatical squad, a 10-man squad with tough fighter and fanatics for 110 points. Take 5 units of that. That's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
Even just 1 in a truck and just go, wait, where's your most deadly unit? It's now dead.
Yeah. They'll blend stuff easily.
I generally don't take them because I favour the Taishin Shudan paratroopers. 3 SMGs in there, and you can fit a few more boys in. So you drive up with your truck, you get out and go, here's 10 guys, get rid of them or die.
It's also one less book you have to carry to your tournament.
Yeah. Speaking about more stuff in theatre books, so there's something that's available for every army, but in Japanese armies they become completely broken good. It's the native irregulars.
Never heard of them.
Yeah,
So
talk
you can only
to us about them.
Only getting 1 SMG in the unit? Damn. Oh well, it's the same as your other Japanese one. Having your whole unit veteran and forward deploying, and have the Japanese national rules, and on the first turn ignore any terrain for run moves.
How many points do they pay for all of that?
None.
Most broken unit in the game, hands down. Don't give a shit what you think. That is horrendous.
So you can forward deploy onto the 24-inch line, and you can charge forward to the edge of the opponent's deployment zone in the first turn, ignoring all terrain. As a Japanese fanatic.
And we'll get on to this a little later, but they get filth certain theatre selector.
Why is anyone taking anything but them? Because surely if you're only going to take regulars or veterans anyway, you might as well make them guys that can forward deploy for 0 points.
Again, because
TOs tend to go, it's in the book, and TOs tend to go, can you not, please?
Yeah.
That's just so good. That is so good. You could have 50 veteran Japanese like an inch away from your face on the end of turn 1.
Yeah.
What? That's up there with some of the bullshit we were saying from the British book last time we did one of these reviews. It's just like, you can get, how high do you want me to turn the knob? Because I can go higher. It's like that with the Japanese. Oh, you want to go broken? Let's get broken.
Native irregulars really should be a 0 to 1 sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they probably shouldn't get the national rules of their associated army. But until the rule says that, here we go.
Well, listen, I'm painting up a unit. Oh, we'll get to it in the hobby lobby. Keep going. Fuck it. No, talking shit. Go.
Do we have anything else to say for native irregulars other than they're broken as shit and they're really good?
They're really good. They're just really good. I mean, it's insane. Take them. Take them more.
Just not when you play me. I don't want to play them.
Yeah. Now, we do get some weird. A squad that I initially, when I first looked through the New Guinea book, thought, "Oh my god, I need all of these," which is the Night Infiltrators.
Oh,
Until I read the last line on their entry that basically said only for use in night fight missions.
Yeah, I got excited because I've only just started the Japanese and I've been reading all the books and stuff trying to figure out what type of army I want to do. And when I saw these, I got all excited and giddy and I messaged everyone going, "Guys, can I take these, please?" And they were like, no, we're not doing night fight.
No, you may not have your fun. Pipe down, sir.
I wanted my cake and eat it.
To be fair, native irregulars are probably better anyway.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
You know, in terms of like what would win you more games, because native irregulars, you just literally you start on every objective and go, right, I'm veteran Japanese now in cover going down, come and get rid of me.
Yeah.
Toph, you haven't read this entry properly, have you? No, the Night Infiltrators are better in every way. It's just that they're so limited with that only being used in night fighting because they can take tough fighter, they can be veteran, and they can forward deploy. Oh, and also, just while we're touching on them, if you're playing Night Fight with a Japanese army, they get a shit ton of bonuses for free.
Yay, free stuff! There's a reason doesn't really turn up in tournaments. Yay!
but they only turn up when the lights are out. So fuck them.
Hey, at the last GT, mate, that happened. For the first half an hour.
So,
can we just say for the native irregulars and those night fighters that you probably won't ever see, but for the native irregulars most of all, in certain missions where you're defending in things and you need your opponent to come onto you, those native irregulars can start hidden in ambush.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan. All I heard was "come on" to you.
You weren't supposed to be listening to our private channel, guys. Come on.
Well, Ali was saying how the ambush rule might not necessarily always work because the range is an issue. Well, there you go, native irregulars. They start 2 foot away from you, so they will always be in range if they start an ambush. But then if they start an ambush, they're missing their free 12-inch run move through terrain at the start of the game. So pick your poison, but really good, really good.
Catching people out first turn, say they've driven a truck up and then got out of the truck with some infantry, so they're like within range to charge. Just catching them out, going, "You're dead," because you ignore the terrain.
Yeah,
that's like the moments that we're talking about here. It's the difference between your average player and your high-end player. Your high-end player, if they're on their game and not hungover, you'll never catch them out with shit like this. But your average player that, what you were saying, Topher, is that if you played 10 games and you never played the Japanese army, they'll fall into every one of these pitfalls because they've just never encountered them before.
Yeah. Well, it's something the Japanese do well, not have anything like any other army. Armies don't really have 18-man veteran squads. Armies don't have these native irregulars. They don't have some of the funky teams we're going to come up with in a bit. They're just quite unique in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it's why I like it.
You'll find that Japanese players, when they move on to their second army, don't know how to play bolt action. Isn't that right, Pete?
Oh, mate, it took ages to learn to play with those Germans. Absolutely. What do you mean my infantry are pinned? What bullshit is this?
There's bolt action and then there's Japanese action, and they're two completely separate games.
Before we move on to teams, can I just say when Topher wrote the notes, he forgot to put a comma in between cavalry and engineers, so I got really excited that there were cavalry flamethrower dudes.
I'm also upset because in the notes I put big ass squads brackets. Oh Lord, she coming, and none of you picked up on that.
Oh no!
I'm just really disappointed that I never got to see these fabled notes.
Oh well, you know. No, it's because you're on your phone. You won't be able to see both.
Be fucked.
Yeah, it's fine.
Listen, I'm taking off my own list.
As a guest having your own notes, you're already one step ahead of everyone else, mate.
Well, I've already made fun of England, and so that was number one. Keep going.
Nice.
And then at the bottom it's like, remember, Al, you're trying to pass an in.
As long as you get in a reference to, what is it, 86 or something, when Archie Gemmell scored a hat-trick at Wembley or whatever it was. Or was it Hampden
sports?
Park? Yeah,
I don't do sports.
No.
Dan, it's still me and you doing sports, mate. It's
I know. It's when Scotland beat England at football for like the first time in like 40 years. Anyway, carry on.
Right, moving on to teams. We've got the usual sets of teams: sniper, flamethrower, mortar. Yes, they're fanatic. Your Japanese sniper has a pistol on both men, so you're a tough fighter.
Woot.
And then you get the wonderful boys that everybody complains about, but are really easy to dodge. Suicide anti-tank teams.
Oh, I love people whinging about these. They're brilliant. I just love a good. You know when you see a good Facebook thread and you're just like, you know what? I'm going to sit there and read all 200 comments of people arguing. This is one of those great ones that always triggers these ones, and it's really fun because people just get so angry.
So, you know, they have the best penetration in the game when they work. They're a +8. The problem is getting them to work.
Yeah, the anti-tank teams like this are another example of fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. As soon as you know what they do, you can counter them pretty easily.
Let's cover the rules then. So they come in inexperienced, regular, and veteran for 14, 20, and 26 points respectively. It's a team of 1 man, and weapons are 1 lunge man, artillery shell, satchel charge, magnetic mine, or similar. So basically, explosives.
A bomb.
Sorry, I'm calling it. You said lunge man.
You're alright, mate.
He loves it.
Yeah.
So
I've had half a bottle of red wine so far.
But Lunge Man is his superhero name.
Codex Lunge Man. There we go.
So special rules. They've got a special rule called kamikaze. So if a suicide anti-tank team assaults an enemy vehicle, the model manages to move into contact with the target, which is what you need to make the assault. Remove it and immediately resolve a hit against the vehicle with a penetration value of +8. No other penetration modifiers apply. So you run your man in, you remove your man, you get a +8 on the vehicle. So that tiger that's been sat there going, look at me, I'm armor 10, you go, well, that's cute, +8.
I mean, it's just about them. If it connects, it's about the most reliable anti-tank you can get in the game.
It's just a shame Pete only rolls ones.
No. Every Japanese player will tell you the first time you catch an out, you roll a 1.
Yeah, every time.
Every time, without fail.
As is tradition.
They can forward deploy and start in ambush for no reason. And you can take up to 3 per anti-tank man slot. So you can take 3 of them.
And thanks to the FAQ, which didn't hit the armies of China, who have a similar unit, they also have the anti-tank rule.
Tank hunter.
Yeah.
So you don't need to pass a test to charge.
Yeah.
Well, no, they don't get the -3. Banzai normally gets you in, but if you do need to pass a check, you don't get the -3.
Yeah. And I think the bit we've missed here is that once they've done their damage, regardless of what happens, they're dead. So you lose an order dice.
Yeah.
Because they've just blown themselves to smithereens. So basically...
Order dice-wise, it's a 1-to-1 trade at best.
Yeah. So you're basically sacrificing dice to take out that nasty enemy unit you have no other way of killing.
Yeah. You know, that
14
points.
Yeah, 14 points to potentially remove their best tank that's a trade you're willing to take every time, I think.
Even at 26 points, where I take them because they become more annoying to get rid of, they're still a very good choice.
And tactically on the board, you've from what I've seen, you've got one of these guys buried in amongst these bamboo spearmen running about, so your opponent physically maybe can't see it. Again, we're talking about the average or below average player. They can't see it, they forget about it, and then all of a sudden, all he sees is, it's just infantry close to a tank. That's fine, and then this bamboo spear guy pops out from behind and plugs it.
They're very easy to hide, and even if your opponent's got no tanks, they're very easy to hide until turn 6, where they step out, jump on an objective and go, haha, denied, or haha, it's mine, and you've just won the game through single-man Suicide AT team units, which are units and are scoring.
Well, how many times have you been playing against Pete and he's like hidden it against a building and just the very tip of his left shoulder's pointing out, and you just forget he's there because you never look for one-man squads across the board, do you? You always forget that it's there. And you go, move my Sherman up, and he goes, haha, surprise. You go, oh, for fuck's sake, Pete.
Yeah, but then he rolls a 1 and you feel better.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, on the flip side of that, it's the same. The amount of times Toast forgot is the same amount of times I forgot where his bloody chaplain is, and for God's sake, I
think the key weakness of this is that you need to charge the enemy vehicle to connect, and that's harder than it sounds if if your opponent knows what he's doing. The first bit is if what you want to charge has a run order, you can't charge them. You can only charge units that are down, not ordered, or advance. If anyone's got a run order, you can't charge them. Also, if it's a transport,
and that's on a vehicle.
Yeah, and if it's a full transport and you charge it, the guys are just going to jump
fighting
out
the guys inside
and beat the shit out of you. So you have to pick your targets. Also, if you're charging from over 6 inches away and the tank's not gone yet, it will fire at you as you run in and gun you the fuck down. So you need to pick your moments. Sometimes you see newbie players who don't necessarily know what to do, just go, oh, this is an anti-tank guy, and just run it straight in front of the enemy army, and they are target priority number 1 every damn time.
But people should remember, though, just because that tank has run doesn't mean that you can't then force it to go down with a howitzer shot or an anti-tank shell from a tank gun, something like that, like a medium anti-tank gun. If you can then force it to go down, you can then charge it with your +8.
Yeah. Also, or you could just run right in front of it and go, right, I'm now 1 inch away from you. Next turn, I hope you get the first dice out the bag, because otherwise I'm going to charge you. And then because you're within an inch,
these guys benefit insanely from the surprise charge rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you've got 3 Suicide AT guys, as a Japanese player, it's quite easy to outdice your opponent. So you can game the dice system and go, I've got 14 dice, he's got 10. I'm going to put my Suicide AT guy 1 inch away from his tank in front of everyone and reliably expect my dice to come out next. And get the kill. And don't roll 1s.
Well, because in a normal platoon you're coming up against 1 tank and you can take 3 of these for a slot. It's not uncommon just to have these guys running around in pairs and just run both out in front and just go, well, you can kill 1, but the other one's going to get you.
Yeah, hate that. Yeah. Hate that. I think that there's 2 schools of thoughts to how you take them. You spam the inexperienced ones, or you spam the veteran ones. You either take so many inexperienced ones that 4 might die, but 1 will get through, or you take the veteran ones and go, even if you do manage to hit me, I'm a veteran, I'm not going to die easily. Because there's nothing worse than charging your 4-man unit into a Suicide AT guy, fail the combat, and he kills 1 and runs them all down. It's happened far too many times.
It also, when you're veteran, protects you from being sniped. Because a sniper's going to hit you on 3s. He doesn't care that you're a 1-man team. He doesn't care that you're in cover. Yeah. Whereas an inexperienced one's just going to disappear under a sniper shot.
Yeah. And then because you're a veteran, you're not going to die very often. And because you're fanatic, you don't care if you get a pin because you just banzai them. I was going to say up and at them then. You Japanese
up and at them. I think that, I know the internet says they're dirty and OP as shit, but I don't think they're that bad. I think they're about on point. The 2 points are, A, they're really difficult to use well if your opponent knows what he's doing, for the reasons I've mentioned. And secondly, if you took these out, the Japanese don't really have any other anti-tank. It's either this or a flamethrower, really. And once if you took both of them out, they're just sitting there with some light howitzers. So you kind of have to let them have it to give them a chance to compete.
I really like the Bomb 6. I think they're very thematic and very cool. But I think my favourite unit in the Japanese roster is the one that we're going to go on to next.
What's that one then, Dan?
So the next one is your sneaky AT team. So this is the anti-tank improvised weapons teams. So these are quite similar to the anti-tank suicide dude. They are all, I think they start as a 2-man and can go up to a 4-man.
5-man.
A 5-man. They're forward deployers. They all have improvised anti-tank weapons, so they count as having tank grenades, but they only ever do superficial damage. So you're always on that -3 on the combat roll, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, but sometimes just putting a tank down is enough to get it out of your hair for a couple of turns. The thing about these guys is they're tough fighters against tanks. So when you forward deploy in 4 guys, and then suddenly you can potentially get 8 hits on a tank with a +8, again, with a +8, but not one-shotted, suddenly these guys are really cool. And they're not a team weapon, so you can't just snipe out one dude and remove the whole squad. I just think these guys are so cool. And these are what I'll be using these for in my one, because I'm going to be taking probably 3 squads of these because I love them so much. I'm just going to use these to go hunting weapons teams like snipers and mortars and flamethrowers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the only downside on them is that they replace the suicide anti-tank team.
Yeah, you do lack a lot of punch with these guys, because having just 1 +8, just go bang, there you go. And it's, if you roll a penetrate, it is an actual penetrate. These guys can only do superficial, but I think because they've got multiple uses, I think they're slightly cooler.
Sorry, can you? I don't have them in front of me. They're not in the main army book, are they?
No, these
page
guys.
95 of Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you say they count as tough fighter against?
Against tanks, yes.
Against everything, against normal infantry and teams and whatever, they're just normal, regular or veteran guys. So they just roll 1 dice. But against tanks, you do roll the extra hits for each hit you do. So you can potentially get 8, 10 hits, whatever it is.
Don't you need to roll? No, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you roll the 4 or 5 dice that you get, and then for every hit you get an additional one, and then each one of those hits stacks up for your pluses. So you could potentially get a +0 if you miss them all and you're unlucky, or you could potentially get like a +8 on your damage roll. But
I guess or a +10 if everything went right.
Oh yeah,
I'm always thinking that with a lot of Japanese stuff, whenever Tough Fighter, it was all sort of geared towards that first edition of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, the tough fighter on vehicles, I think only these, and I think the Soviet version of these has it as well. I think there's only 2 of them that have it because it's an old rule, like a legacy rule that hasn't really transferred very well.
Well,
but
not really with these, because New Guinea came out after the V2 rule.
Oh, was it? I think these guys' best use, apart from obviously killing tanks, I think they're really good at getting rid of transports and lightly armoured cars. So if you come up against a British player with LRDG, these are God mode. And if you come up against someone that uses a lot of weapons teams, having 12 men forward deploying in 3 squads or 15 men deploying in 3 squads just to go and hunt down snipers and forward artillery observers and stuff like that is really, really cool, really useful.
But isn't it kind of redundant as well? You'd be using your native irregulars for the squad hunt.
Well, your native irregulars can then kill proper squads. Because there's no point wasting a 10-man irregular squad on a 2-man sniper. May as well go and kill their 10 paratroopers.
There is something to be said for forward deploying 9 units from a single platoon. Because you take 5 native irregulars, 3 of these squads, then you sniper, and then you just go, deployed? Yeah, I'm deployed. But you've got nothing there. Yeah, I'm leaving my officer in reserve. Oh, you deployed that? Cool. There we go. Let me just do my forward deploy thing. They scare my snipers, though. That's what they're scared of. Cause,
I think that's their best application.
Yeah, because you put them down and you go, right, my sniper's here. And you go, well, first turn, I'm going to advance these guys 6 inches towards you. And the next turn, I'm going to charge you. And a sniper's not going to win a fight against 5
And they all come with rifles as well, so they can move and shoot as well. So they're actually really, really useful.
Okay.
They're 2 to 5 dudes with rifles and improvised anti-tank grenades, which is the only superficial hits. Other than that, they count as normal against everything, really.
I'd guess you just need to make sure you bring some actual anti-tank. Like something a bit more reliable, just in case.
Yeah, so you'd want to put in... the Japanese defences, you just go down and pray. But you could probably get in a Kaishin Hoto, whatever it is, later on, which we'll discuss, because I think that's pretty much their only reliable anti-tank.
Yeah.
So, talking about some other teams... Now this one looks like a squad, smells like a squad,
Acts
definitely
like a squad.
tastes like a squad and acts like a squad, but is actually a team. It's the machine gun section.
Boo, machine gun.
Starts at an NCO and 3 men that come with an MMG, and they're an overmanned team. So they follow the MMG rules for team weapons with following exceptions. 1 man is needed to fire the MMG. 2 men act as loaders. Any men not loading the MMG may fire their rifles as normal. If the model carrying the MMG is destroyed, the remainder of the team will continue to rifle armed infantry squad without the MMG. And obviously the MMG is fixed. Now these can be inexperienced, regular or veteran, but can also add 7 additional men.
So you can get a 10-man... Is it a 10-man
11.
squad or 11-man squad for your MMG team?
Yeah.
Wow. How expensive are they, though?
45 points inexperienced at 4 men, and then 7 points for additional dudes. 63 at regular, 10 points for additional dudes, and 81 at veteran, 13 points
So
for
it's
additional
what,
dudes.
23 odd points for your MMG in a squad.
Yeah.
See, in the normal
Almost
game,
worth
yeah, in the normal game it's kind of but in Jugger format with the extra pins coming out from the MMG, that's really tasty.
Yeah. And it follows the theme again of Japanese are all about the bodies, not about the toys.
And even if you take it as like a 4 or 5-man squad, as soon as that MMG's been sniped out, you go, oh no, the MMG's dead. Well, here's another 4-man squad running around just charging shit.
So onto artillery. They have access to most things.
Oh, hold on. We can't go to artillery yet. I'm going to mention it. It's not very good, so don't take it because it's more expensive than it's worth. The lone sniper is effectively a 1-man sniper team, or you can make him really expensive and give him a light machine gun where he loses all the skills. So it's a 1-man LMG team at 65 points regular, or a 1-man sniper at 55 points regular. And the only thing that he actually has that helps him is he ignores the effect of having 1 pin marker assigned to him. He's garbage. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Thanks for that public service announcement. That was excellent.
Can I talk about shit that actually matters now?
Oh, I suppose.
Artillery! So they've got light guns, medium guns, as do most people. The thing about the Japanese guns, they all tend to be horrendously overmanned.
Only if you want them to be.
Well,
not all of them.
I mean, I look at like the my page is going wrong now. But you look
The
at
mountain gun.
The mountain guns. It's just like, how many extra crewmen do you want?
Well, the mountain gun starts at 3. You can have 2 additional if you want. What's wrong with that?
I mean, the heavy howitzer starts at 5, and you can buy 3 more. You can just build some really big units behind the guns here, which just stop them dying, means if you're charging them, you've actually got to beat a squad's worth of dudes. And it also means if you've got multiple guns in the line, you can start sharing crew out really easily. So that's really cool.
Ooh, I'd never thought of that. That's quite good.
So also, one thing that I found more recently using the 105mm medium howitzers, normal medium howitzer teams for every other nation, 4 men, and you can maybe get a spotter. These start at 6.
That's a lot of dudes.
That's a lot more models you have to paint for not much. That sounds like a big bag of hassle.
Well,
to be fair, though, it is 5 points a man to add him to the squad. Because it's only 85 points for that howitzer with 6 men rather than 75. So 10 points for 2 extra wounds. It's pretty good.
True.
I mean, it's just good for protection, really. Keeps you alive longer.
Yeah.
And when people charge them thinking, oh, I'll kill these men, they're charging 3 or 4, they're charging 5, 6, 7, 8.
And they're fanatics, so
they're going to lose in combat.
Also means if they're hit with like an errant multi-launcher, you can't get all crew at once. Because there's just so many. So like even if you hit them with like a medium mortar, cool, you killed 4 crewmen. That's enough to kill any other gun. Japanese gun's going to still sit there and go, ooh, next turn, run order, advance, there you go.
On a similar note, though, it increases the footprint of the unit. And if you choose not to increase the footprint, then you're bunching them up too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, with Japanese artillery, if you get hit by anything, you're praying leave 2 crew alive, so you can still be there.
I think that's what the biggest thing is the best thing for killing artillery is a medium mortar. So when you get the 6 guys, yes, you might be able to hit 4 at once, or maybe even 3, maybe 4. That's great. There's still 2 left, and the fanatics rule still takes precedence here, and they're not left with one dude on his own on 3 pins who fucks off. These guys just don't care. I think that's the biggest thing.
It's really strange that the 105 field gun, regular, 6 men, medium howitzer, but then the Type 4 heavy howitzer, regular, you only get 5 men? What's that all about? You'd have thought the bigger the gun, the more people...
So the Type 4 heavy howitzer started getting used at the start of the war. Then, as they lost equipment, they stopped using.
Oh, you're talking early, mid, late war passion. Oh.
We need a klaxon just when Pete starts talking actual history.
Oh my god, how many rivets did they have?
What
uniform did they wear?
I think the main bit to say, the other bit to say about the Japanese guns is they don't really have any big AT guns.
They do have one, but it comes in a theatre book. The dual-purpose AA gun, I mean, it's down as an anti-air. This is how funny this is. It's a heavy anti-tank gun, crewed by 4 men, that's got flak and versatile, so it may fire as a light hand as well.
How many points is that?
120 regular, 96 inexperienced, and 144 veteran.
I was with you till you said the point value.
Yeah, so it's a bit much. But it is a heavy anti-tank gun if you desperately want one.
I think you'd just be better taking the heavy howitzer, wouldn't you? Because then you can chuck D6 pins on something. That'll turn to fuck off.
Is it the Japanese that can take the double AA heavy machine gun thing that's like 115 points for 2 heavy machine guns?
Yes.
I think we're not playing that enough lip service. That's the best anti-tank in the game.
So that one comes in the Empire in Flames book. I looked at it and went, maybe that's good for half a second, and realised it was...
Well, it's a 75-point HMG that's got AA, it's got anti-aircraft, or you can give it 2 heavy machine guns. Woo! And that's like 125 points or something stupid.
Wow.
It's ridiculously overcosted.
Just living the dream there.
It's very much when you're playing Ali, take it and tell him all about how historically accurate it is.
Yeah, you'll just make me so angry and distract me from doing anything. Yeah, that's the way forward. Petey, that really should be on your warning list of units not to take. The lone sniper with the LMG and that crap.
Generally, it's really easy to spot a really shit unit in this book. And I can, when we hit them, I can point them out if you want.
It doesn't come with a bamboo spear.
One of the units I quite like, 20mm AA gun. And I only like it because I can upgrade it for 30 points to be a twin AA gun. So 75 4-shot light autocannon.
It's really good.
Yeah. So, on to the next bit, armoured cars. I like these armoured cars. You don't see many of them, though. So, like, you get the Type 87, which I'm looking at here, 70 points regular for just a car with a 7+ fully armoured car with 2 MMGs on it. How good's that? It's not even open top.
Now try and find one without going to Shapeway.
Ah, right. And you got the Type...
That's why you don't see them.
You got the Type 92 tankette. It's got a HMG and an MMG, 90 points regular, with recce. That sounds fun.
I want one of those. Got to go to Shapeways again.
Is the model situation just not cricket?
Yeah, the models just aren't there. You've got people making like the bits that you can print them with, but then you need to print them out.
I'm not so sure why. These were, widely used between mid, late and early war, weren't they, Ali?
Yes, of course. You're absolutely right.
I mean, like, none of these are open top, though. None of these armoured cars are open topped.
No.
That's brilliant.
They are made of papier-mâché.
Yeah, but they're 7+. It's an armoured car. What more do you want? You can't pin them.
You can also get in a theatre book, the Naval Type 92, which is turret MMG, hull LMG. Comes with recce for 75 points.
Oh, that sounds brilliant. You need to get Rubes to 3D print them all for you.
I mean, it currently can't send anything to me, thank some shit beer.
Well,
just put it in a massive bottle, throw it in the ocean, and it'll get here eventually.
The reason when we're talking about the tankettes and their pros and cons, how many bamboo spearmen can you get for 70 points?
A 9-man squad.
75 points will get you 15.
Oh, is it?
So the twin MMG one is the same as 14 bamboo spears.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough trade, isn't it? It's a tough one to decide between.
Well, you tend to take the twin MMG just to put the pins down so your bamboo boys can get there.
Mm.
So, as Ali wants me to point these out, stuff you don't take.
Whoa. I don't want you to point anything out.
Armoured railroad cards are shit. Don't do it.
Well, you're not going to tell the listeners why they're shit.
It's a 55-point turret-mounted LMG.
What's wrong with that?
It's garbage, mate.
It's
all right.
7 plus armoured car. Not open topped. I'd prefer it to a normal MMG team.
I prefer it to be less points.
I've just also noticed all these tankettes and armoured cars doesn't actually tell you whether they're wheeled or tracked.
No.
I'm assuming the model's a certain way, but
the railroad car is wheels, as is the Type 87. Everything.
How many wheels does it have?
The railroad car has 4 wheels.
Was that in 1939 or 1941? Didn't they upgrade it?
Stop it! You're not allowed back.
Fight.
But so basically, I don't see any really bad armoured cars. As long as you take one of the ones that's fully armoured and has loads of machine guns on it, if you can find a model, they look really cool.
So Warlord do the one for the Type 94. People take quite a lot, which is good. The
Is it a similar model, though? Could you not just glue an extra HMG
No, the Type 92 is not a similar model to the Type.
No.
It's really annoying.
Is it close enough for someone like Dan who doesn't give a shit?
No.
Would you not give a shout out to the T-Key? The one that's a light anti-tank gun, but low velocity?
No, I don't give it a shout out because for the same points you can get
the Hago's better, yeah.
But this is Recce.
But this is going to... if you're wrecking, you're not going to get out of the tracks.
Yeah. Right, let's go on to tanks and talk about the Hago, because we're jumping.
But you missed on the anti-aircraft vehicle, look.
Oh, do we care? Do we care?
No, nobody cares about it.
Okay, there we go. So the Hago, you love these, Pete. How many have you got now? Have you got 3 or 4?
2.
Only 2?
Two, but
it feels like you've got
3
more. It feels like you've got more.
3 more. I want to run a platoon of 5.
So 90 points regular, 7 plus armoured tank, 1 turret-mounted light AET gun, 1 turret-mounted rear MMG, 1 forward-facing hull MMG, 1 man turret, and the gun is shit, so it's only plus 3 rather than plus 4. But that's a lot of guns for 90 points. I just think they're really cool. They put out a lot of pins.
really enjoy it when Tigers shoot. They're like, that's like 300 points shooting something barely worth it.
It's almost shit enough that you question yourself when you're declaring it as a fire order. Like, am I really that bothered about this shitty little thing? And then it goes it's basically a cereal box with some guns glued on it. But it just always seems to get on my nerves.
This thing is essentially 2 medium machine guns running around, and then when you least expect it, it's a low velocity light anti-tank gun up your arse. Because it never usually uses that gun, it's just MMG spam.
I tend to use the main gun as a HE because it's still a really good HE for what it is.
1-inch template, yeah. It's the same point as one of my little tankettes for my Polish. Because they're 90 points each. And instead, my tankette, they lose the autocannon and lose Recce, but then gain AT gun and 2 MMGs. It's like, that's really good.
Pete, is this the reason why people want to play Turret Jam against you? Just as you're running about firing 2 MMGs and then all of a sudden you spin it around, light anti-tank gun. It's like, no, Turret Jam. And that's when you lean over and dick slap them.
Generally, it is the reason that people tend to suddenly remember Turret Jam when they see a rear mount MMG that, let's be honest, everybody's spinning round and shooting forward.
Yeah. Do you run these as veterans to get the extra leadership for the one-man turret order check?
I've run them as regular. That's at least twice a game you're going to be, you can have a bad time. I've run them as veteran. Much prefer them as veteran because they're still cheap enough to make you laugh.
It's only 18 points to upgrade into veteran, isn't it? That's not that's not out the world of possibilities of.
Yeah, I think to get that reliability, that's the same as all those dirty little French players and their veteran FT-17s running about. it's the same trade.
And that concludes the heaviest tank the Japanese can run. I'm being facetious. There are some heavier tanks. No actual heavy tanks. No, I think even a heavy tank counts as a medium, doesn't it?
I think there's.
We don't have a heavy. We don't have a heavy. No Japanese have a 10+. Most they get is So the other thing you generally see out there, I can understand why, is the Horo assault gun.
That's just your excuse to get a heavy howitzer on the table.
Yeah.
It's an open top 7+ heavy howitzer for 155 points.
Bargain.
Yeah.
Sit it at the back in heavy cover and then just shoot shit.
Yeah.
And the fact it can roll on and fire in one action with an advance order, that's really cool too. Just give some good long range. Because as a Japanese player, if you're running at them, you want them to keep their head down because you don't want to get shot on the way in. And there's no better way of getting someone to keep their head down than by firing a fucking massive gun at them.
Yeah.
So most of these tanks are all kind of little shitty light armored machine gun tanks, really.
Like the Kini, the Kito, the
they're all like light tank with a light gun or a light howitzer, and then maybe 2 or 3 MMGs. And yeah, they're shit, and they'll lose any tank duel. But against like infantry, they're fine. They'll shred shit.
Yeah, because your entire army's based upon gutting your opponent's infantry. So you're not trying to win a tank duel, especially not when you've got 3 suicide, lunge mines kicking about. So yeah, totally different idea.
And having run a tank platoon with a Japanese army,
Have you done that?
Yeah, I won an event with it. I ran a tank platoon with 2 suicide anti-tank guys as well, because I could, and just ran the suicide guys behind the 2 little Hagos I had. Anybody that wanted to engage the Hago had to engage an anti-tank line.
You dirty bitch.
Talk dirty to me. I mean, like, the most tanky tank that they've got is, like, their heavy tank, which is actually a medium, or whatever, the Chihi medium tank. It's like medium tank.
The one you get in the starter box, which is the Chiha, isn't bad. I've used it at a tournament. It's great. The little Chiha, there's light howitzer, but the second you go to its upgrade, which is, it removes the light howitzer and puts a medium AT gun, that thing's gorgeous.
155 points, 2 MMGs and a medium AT gun and an 8+ tank. That's not bad. That's about as good as you can get in this book in terms of tank.
For Japanese, that's really good.
The strength that doesn't get seen with just the unit entries is a lot of the Japanese tanks are fairly low riding. You can get hard cover off of a wall that an infantryman can hide behind because you're that low riding.
Because they're barely tanks.
With the Japanese, when you compare it to the Germans, British, or whatever, it's going to draw a certain type of player towards it. If you like big armour, you're going to end up being a US or German player because, that's what they were famed for, big tanks. Same with the Soviets, but, as we've mentioned before, the Japanese are a very different style of play, and I'm not surprised at any event if I turn up and there's a Japanese player that has nothing armoured at all. They're, as you said, they're the orc infantry horde that's going to run at you. You look at it and think, yep, that's exactly what I would be doing.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think the key is that the tanks are there to support the infantry, not the other way around. Like,
I was going to say the same.
If you're playing like US or Germans, you can take a big nasty tank with a load of guns and howitzers on it and use that to force your way into your opponent's army and start killing shit. In the Japanese, it's the opposite. All your tanks are there for are to put pins and put pressure on other units while you get your infantry in. So, in terms of building a list, I'd always focus on the infantry first, and then your tanks are almost going to be kind of like an afterthought or an optional extra. You wouldn't necessarily design your list around them. Not saying they're bad, but they're just not where the strength of the Japanese army lies.
No, not at all. And it's almost as though if you take a tank as a Japanese player, you're actually giving your opponent's tank something to do.
Yeah.
Chase my little tank around, you're actually giving it a job. Whereas if you just take your infantry horde your opponent will all of a sudden be like, oh, I don't really know where to place my tank. What is its, what's its first goal? And that's how you'll catch the average player out.
And if you're up against the not the average player that knows what they're doing, you to get that, your opponent's tank to shoot it, because otherwise that opponent's tank's just going to drown you in machine gun fire.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do love for the Japanese ones is they can put shots in 3 different arcs on almost every single one of their tanks, because they've got a hull MMG and then the double guns pointing either side on their turret mount. They're actually a threat at getting rid of small teams quite effectively, and whilst they're shooting their big gun at something like a tank or a transport with something scary in it, they're actually really good at pinning the rest of their army as well. And that's something you don't see very often. A lot of tanks have one gun in one flank, or one gun in one arc, and then another gun somewhere else, and that's it.
Have you even had a good game if you've not triple shot your Shihan? I mean, come on.
Exactly. And they're really annoying to play against when they do triple shot you as well.
So the last...
Yeah, especially towards the latter end of the game, where you've got small units left, and they're actually going to make a huge difference when they do triple shot.
Mm.
So the last vehicle section, trucks. These are one of the first things you want to buy for your infantry. If your squads are small enough to get into a truck, if you want to get stuck in with your Japanese, how better than to load them all up in trucks and get that first turn run, really?
I mean, don't see these as vehicles. See these as 24 inches.
Just delivery options.
Can I just say that they can't get any truck big enough to carry a full squad?
I was going to say exactly the same thing. The first time I read this book, and you're looking at it like, wow, look at the size of these squads, 18 guys, fucking hell, wow, crazy. Yeah, but nobody bothered to design a better truck.
Yeah.
I mean, they can carry 13 guys in one of their general purpose trucks. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can get a fair bit of men. You can get a fair bit of men in there. And
yeah.
Even the British have got that massive truck that can carry 29 guys.
Yeah, the alligator thing, isn't it?
Mm.
No, it's just a truck. It's like a truck upgrade. I can't remember what it's named. It's like a
is it like the US 3.5 ton Mac thing? That carries like 24 dudes.
Yeah, I think it's inexperienced. You buy it as an upgrade and it costs like 64 points.
Yeah.
And that's how you get your British armour platoon up and running.
Yeah.
Mm. I also like that they've got light trucks which only have a capacity of 8 men, so depending what you buy your truck for, you're not paying for transports you're not using, and that's something I really miss in my German army, because you either have a 5-man Horch car or a truck, and there's nothing in between. And those light trucks are great for just chucking 8 vets in there, especially like engineer squads. They're brilliant.
Yeah, so frustrating for the Germans not to have that.
Mm.
And while we're on kind of German sides, and because Ali wants me stuff you don't take, is the Ho-Ha half-track, which is effectively an over-pointed Hanomag.
Ho-ho-ha-ha, ho-ho-ha-ha.
Can we give a shout-out while we're here to the Type 98's Shiki and Roki carriers? So they're a 4-man and a 6-man carrier. They are slow, but they're only 13 and 17 points. Oh, they're so cheap. 17 points for an engineer carrier. Oh,
which won't carry them any quicker than them just walking.
No, but it's harder to kill.
I guess if they're on the road, they get double movement.
Yeah, they're kind of fun models to look at. If you haven't Googled them before, Google the Roki carrier. And I just want to take one, just so that every time I can get my phone out and just have a picture of a guy going really slow on a mobility scooter. Just go, I'm a coming.
You've also got your Jeep kind of equivalent in here, the Kurogane. Now, most Jeeps are only 3 men. This is 4, which is incredibly useful in envelopment when you can stick 3 lunge mines in it and your LT and fuck off.
That's
or double flamethrower
points
in
off at once, yeah.
Yeah, double flamethrower in Jugger Selector can go in one Kurogane.
Yeah, it's really good. Just for when you're building armoured lists, it just gives you a few more slots to put random units in that you don't have to buy trucks for.
Yeah.
So you can buy it, put your flamethrower in it, and then you can also count your sniper in it for list building stuff. So that's all useful.
Yeah. And one vehicle that, alright, we missed it. It's, as far as I'm aware, the only vehicle that get a 60-degree flamethrower.
Oh, the What's it called again? The
Soko Sagyo SSKI.
I'm glad you said that. I wasn't going to get that.
That is more than a mouthful you ever want to have.
So it actually says in its rules it actually had 3 flamethrowers, but this would limit the madness this would cause in bolt actions. They just use it as 1 that can fire 360 degrees.
Such reasonable rules. So reasonable.
And do you want to give it a down order and then have other vehicles drive over, because you can.
They can drive over it. Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's an engineering vehicle. It can do all sorts of weird shit.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, is there any interesting theatre selectors that they get access to?
There's a couple. I think the Battle of Tarawa is one of the better selectors out there. It's using SNLF squads, but you're allowed 2 lots of anti-tank teams, 2 lots of mortars, and 3 sets of snipers, and 2 vehicles, so you can take 2 Hago tanks. I think that's a super selector.
That is brilliant. That is well good.
Yeah. It takes the best of what you want for the Japanese and puts it all into one selector. It's like their equivalent of Stalingrad.
Yeah, that is really good.
Only slightly better is the Burma selector. And that's because in the Native Irregular entry, they actually allow them to become infantry squads in this selector. So you can effectively take a second LT, 5 Native, a Japanese Stuart, and a sniper.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
And then you got, two mortars, 2 snipers in one selector is really good.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I know there's the Pacific Defenders one. Is that from the
Papua New Guinea?
That one's really good as well because it's got special rules for you can bring some bunkers.
Oh, is that the one with the tunnels?
Yeah. The tunnels is basically pick a point on the battlefield, write it down, and from like turn 3 onwards, you can just charge out, and they can't overwatch you, and you just go, here's 15 veterans in your face, and there's not a thing you can do about it. I think you can take 4 snipers in that selector as well.
Yeah.
4 snipers. You get 100 points in defences.
Tunnels and bunkers. Yeah.
And as many militia squads as you want. You can go over. You can have 10, 20 of them if you can fit them in.
Yeah, 10, 25-man squads.
And that's why we have the Juggernaut selector. Yay! To curb the bullshit.
So the other one I've noticed is, which makes me giggle a little, is the Kwantung Army selector that's in the Empire in Flames book. Now you can take lovely, 2 howitzers, which would be great for you. The downside being that you must take 1 transport vehicle per unit from a couple units that don't exist in the Type 97 Isuzu truck and the Type 97 Nissan truck. I imagine that's general purpose and light. Horse-drawn limber or mule team. So you'll have to take a mule team for every squad.
Yay, warlord writing! That's so
Imagine
silly.
a dice advantage.
Do you want 20 dice and 2 heavy howitzers? Here you go.
So, how many dice you got, mate? I've got 34. What?
Only 3 of them actually do anything.
Yeah.
I sponsor the orphan donkey farm on the side. Got to get them out. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there, but I think, what are the 3 books then that Japanese players need to get? The Army book, Empire in Flames,
and Papua New Guinea.
I mean, to be fair, they can make a fair army just using their main army book. Really, there's not a lot that the other books add that they don't already have in some form. Like,
I think, you need native irregulars, engineers, and then the sneaky AT boys.
Yeah,
that's about it, really.
Yeah,
everything else is kind of weird and wacky. It's some fun stuff in there, but it's not better than anything they've got in their book anyway.
And as long as Warlord's release schedule stays the same, September this year, there's another Pacific book out. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, can't wait.
So let's do closing thoughts then. I'll start. I reckon that this is one of the most fun and entertaining armies to play. It has quite a unique set of challenges. I don't think it's half as broken as people make out, because they've got some good points, but fuck me, they've got some bad points. I just think it's a really nicely well-themed army. I think there's a lot of fun, and I'd be very sad to see them not being played. I think it's quite boring up north in Scotland. You don't see more of them, really, because I think they really shake up the The local meta.
Ooh, what a filthy word.
And the dirty.
So what I found in playing them is they keep the Russian lists in check most of the time.
They are a natural counter, aren't they? The Russians go, here's all the pins, here's all the units, and you just go, I don't care, I've got all these pins, and I'm still going to beat you in combat. They eat up dog mines for days.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a tank worth killing, and it's just free order dice for the Japanese to chow down on.
And for TOs that decide, nah, we'll just... thanks. Way to put me top of the power pile.
Yeah, the Japanese army is one of the armies that really, really benefits when people say only use the main book only. Same with the Russians, because they go, cool, all my fun shit's in the main book. I'll be fine. And then armies like the Americans, where their main book's a bit tame compared to what they get with all the theatre sectors, they really start to suffer in comparison. At least.
Yeah. I think when you're thinking of Japanese, think of your missus's once a month. Think blob. Blob squad, everything. Blob everything. Make it big squads, and you're sorted.
Wow.
That's brutal, mate. I agree that, I'm disappointed that I've not seen more of them being played in Scotland, so, I don't have the great gaming experience I'd really like to have against them, but there's nothing wrong with the army list. I think the only reason I can see players being put off by it is the models. Not the models themselves, but the fact that there's so many infantry units and that the tanks are quite small. They're not very... It's the best way is... It's like the Japanese army is not advertised.
Eye-catching.
Yeah, it's not eye-catching, and it's not been advertised to the Western mind that this is World War II.
A lot of the units you want, like the armoured cars, just aren't available as well.
Exactly.
It's a 3D printer's army.
Yeah, and if you do ever see one of these Japanese armoured cars, it's kind of, looks like the Soviet BA-10s, BA whatever they are, boxy, 4 wheels, and the only difference is they've got a kind of domed turret.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, as someone that's just started painting Japanese infantry as well, the faces that some of the models have from the infantry box set are so comical. It's unreal.
Racist.
Honestly, they are super racist. Typical, like really narrow eyes, buck teeth,
glasses.
Think South Park when the Chinese, when the Chinese chef dresses up and he puts those fake paper teeth and he goes, "Oh, they'll never see me." That's exactly what they look
remind
like.
me of the episode where they're pretending they're trying to like stealthily work out what the Chinese takeaway is doing, and they all dress up and come and say, "We are Chinese people."
Yeah,
I know they're Japanese,
exactly
but it's the like. Japanese equivalent of that, and the models are a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, some of the faces are horrendous. Some of them are really good. I'd probably say 50%. You just look at them, you think, "Oh my god, what were they thinking?"
Yeah, it's some great racial profiling, but I think knowing a lot of the Scottish players as I do, I think that's probably one of the reasons why they're put off is that it's a high model count and they're just not very exciting to look at. It's one of the reasons why I've never painted of them because they're good.
I'll be honest. I've got an army of them. I can paint them as well as possible. I probably won't win an army award for them because they just don't pop that much unless you built a huge, like a couple of years ago I saw somebody built a huge hill where they put their army in and it was a lovely display board. Unless you put display board in.
No, don't start me on the display board.
I was going to say, I think the key's in the bases, isn't it, to get the jungle, and that's where you get kind of the cool bit from. Yeah. Especially with the models that are available from Warlord, at least. That's where they can look good. But overall, in terms of an army to play, really, really unique. And really, really good. I would recommend them. I think if you don't have a Japanese army and you've played a lot of bolt action, Japanese is definitely a way to make your game and turn it upside down because they don't play like anyone else. Except maybe Lancers. Charge!
Yeah.
Right. Shall we leave Codex? So won't we? Godzilla? Gozirra?
Goodbye. Goodbye, Japan.
So won't we?
The won't we Gozirra? Let's go
Let's
Hobby
move
Lobby.
away from these mainland islands and get to the Hobby Lobby. We now move on from these Isles of Japan to Mr. Blobby's Hobby Lobby. Who have we done our pledges?
I have the strength of the warrior, because I painted all of my models. Haha.
Oh, you have kept your honor, son.
I have honor, Peter-san, unlike Lord Sheffy, who... why did I say Lord? That was bullshit. What was going on there? I ruined it! That was the best I was doing for a while. He lacks honor and strength and the discipline and the way of the grasshopper.
Hello.
That's a little better now.
Yeah,
Hello, I'm from Scotland. Hello. Hello. I'm Rodri up in Scotland.
That is dishonourable!
Okay,
Oh.
you
Okay.
lack so much discipline, you do.
Okay, I know.
I cannot fucking believe it.
Man, you sound like my brother, my God.
I'm Ali's brother. My name's Pally.
Ali and Pally, is it?
Ali and Pally.
Nah. You're doing much dishonour to your family.
You are dishonourable. Right, let's fuck it. Let's just stop it because I want to go to bed. Mr. Plopper's Hobby Lobby. After last month failing said pledge, I caught up with myself this month and managed to paint all of my infantry, and I painted it a bit more actually. I pledged 20 infantry and I painted about 30. So, yay! All is forgiven. Maybe.
No.
Nah, I know, but I complete my pledge. Hey, guess what? Turns out international pandemics are good motivation for sitting and painting shit and not going anywhere. So, you know.
Paint your backlog.
Yeah, the thing is, right, everyone's going, paint your backlog, that's fine. But me personally, when I heard that Games Workshop and Warlord were shutting down, I ordered an emergency backlog. So my backlog is bigger now than before it started.
That's just lunacy. Why would you order more?
Because
he paints armies so damn quickly.
What if I
he's
needed
not got a
something?
real backlog.
What if I needed something when it's shut? What would I do then?
It's because his wife and kids are in the house, so he can't masturbate as much as he wants, so he's got to fill his day.
Hey, that's what showers are invented for. They can't interrupt you.
You think they can't, but the kids definitely will interrupt you.
Mate, there's nothing worse. Ali, you've got this to come as your family grows up. There's nothing worse than trying to have a wank in the shower as you can hear the kids walking around outside. Mummy, when's Daddy finished? And Daddy's like, I'm not going to be fucking finished with you there, mate.
Oh, God.
Back on the cast.
This is the sort of stuff that gets people on the sex offenders register.
I know.
No, I said I'm not going to finish while he's there. Oh, fuck off. Did you guys hit your pledges?
Yeah, you might have seen it posted up. I painted a lovely little Sherman Firefly.
That was a very lovely little Sherman Firefly, Pete.
It was lovely, Pete. Well done.
I like the. Was that painting tips the Rubes gave you about dry brushing it beige?
No, it was basically a guide that Rubes had in a book, and he photographed it and sent it to me, and I've literally followed the guide. It was gorgeous.
Ah, so it's not really your technique then, is it? You
No.
plagiarised it.
So
You know what I've done? I've gone,
completed your
those
plan.
Australian people can quite happily paint really nice looking units, so how the fuck do they do it?
Well, they've got nothing better to do down there, let's be honest. So, no wonder they're all good at painting.
Well, Pete, what you've effectively done is just paint by.
Paint by numbers, mate, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Go for it.
That's what it all is anyway, isn't it, essentially?
Yeah.
That's what, in reality, it's what contrast paints are, innit?
Me, I
Paint by
love
numbers.
contrast paints. So all of my bolt action models are now contrast paints. It's just so
Shut
good.
your mouth about contrast.
It's so it's because you just get your base coat and you wash it and your first layer done in a single go, and then you just do like your final overlayer and your highlight, and it just saves time. Get more shit painted. It looks great, and they're really well suited to bolt action models because it's not like there's lots of like detail, but it's all just mono brown, and it's just good. Do you want to paint brown? There you go. Dip it all in contrast. Boom, done.
I love hearing your enthusiastic painting guides, Topher. You motivate me to be a better painter.
It must be like poison in your ears, Ali.
Some days, yeah. Some days it is.
I bet when the people say I've contrast painted a whole army, you just must cringe and curl up inside.
I've just got this nervous twitch that develops every now and then.
We don't all have your talent, I'm afraid. And some of us need some proper leg ups. So
I've not got Ali's talent, but I still try.
Some of us actually need to buy paint, unlike all those people that win painting awards.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other story, mate. Awesome.
If you
I've
try
still got that box
and you
unopened.
fail, the lesson is never try. There you go, Dan. How did your pledge come on?
Yeah, so I had a success and then 3 horrible setbacks. So I painted my 10 Japanese infantry, which I was set out to do. And then I also built a bunch of bases for them, which was going to be extra on my pledge. So that was my big win. I then tried to put water effects on those bases, and they all started leaking. I then tried to salvage them by putting them into some putty, but it saved them and they set properly, but then the putty adhered to the water effects that I was using. And I thought that the putty had kind of was oily enough that it would not glue itself to the resin. So when I took them all out, they all had blue rims, which isn't what you want to go for when you're trying to do a Japanese on the river sort of theme army. And then I have now run out of putty, and I have no way of creating the river bases anymore, so I've had to order some more. I have then destroyed 2 of my paintbrushes, so I can now no longer paint unless it's with a detail brush. So I'm having to paint everything, even base coating, with a detail brush. And my hobby light that I use so I can actually see my models to paint past, 4 o'clock, because we're in England and we don't have light past 4 o'clock, got broken today, so I can now no longer paint. So that's fun.
Jesus, Dan, next you're going to say you've got coronavirus?
I know, mate. At least I'd have an excuse worth not painting.
That's the only step that could make it worse. And a question I've got for you is, why have you only got 2 brushes?
I've got loads, mate, but they're mostly detail brushes.
Right.
I did buy a GW base coat brush.
Well, that's
and
mistake number 1.
It is the worst brush I've ever bought. I used it once and it turned into a dry brush.
Yep.
As in you could dry brush with it because it was so shit. My Army Painter one, it was just about on its last legs, and that now has had bristles starting to fall out. So as soon as your bristles start to fall out, it's gone. So I'm down to 2 detail brushes and then a GW base coat brush, which is now basically a dry brush. So I'm down to 2 brushes essentially.
You should have done what I did, mate, and stocked up on your backlog.
Yeah, well, I didn't foresee this coming, mate, to be honest. So
can I make I don't know if Ali's gonna back me up here, but can I make a suggestion, Dan? You buy some Winsor & Newton brushes, whether it be the expensive ones or the cheap ones, because they last ages.
Yep. Yeah, I'll back you up on that one, mate.
Yeah, well, I've just ordered some paintbrushes today to come, and hopefully they'll tide me over for a little bit until I can get out after this quarantine and go and get some proper ones. And then I've ordered all the material to do all my basing for my Japanese. So I managed to salvage, I think it's 7 of the Japanese models that didn't have resin and stuff all over them, because once it started to leak out of the sides, it just went over all the other models, and so models had like green resin glued to their face, and it was just a disaster. So
you see like on the internet all these like fancy armies with all of their water bases and stuff, resin bases, and they always look really cool. And then you watch the guides, and they always make out like it's really easy to do. Because I tried to do it on a 40k army once, and fuck me, it's difficult to get the resin to not just go everywhere.
The thing that annoys me the most is I did this for my Nurgle for my 40k, and they look fantastic. And I've just not been I know what I did wrong, because when you sellotape it round, I was supposed to plug the bottom so that it doesn't leak through the bottom, and I forgot to do it, and that's why it started leaking. And then I panicked, forgot to do that, and then just thought, fuck it, I'll do this, that, and the other, and it all just went horribly wrong. It's lucky that they were 10 test models, to get the painting done properly and then try and base them as well. So I think what I'm going to do is just do models with grass and trees and stuff on them, and then a bunch of them that are just in a shallow river, so that I haven't got a fanny arse around with anything in between. It's just one or the other.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of hard work, and I guess at the 28mm scale, you got to work. Is it worth it?
Yeah,
are people going to appreciate it?
Yeah, I think what I might do is like I say, half on grass and then half in a river, and then when I build like a display board sort of thing, those ones can stand on the river and look like they're not out of place. But yeah, I don't know. I might just can the whole thing in and just do a traditional jungle board and glue loads of fake aquarium trees or fake aquarium leaves and stuff to them and hope that passes. So I don't know. I'm just really pissed off.
Have you guys seen some of the stuff I've posted online on Bolt Action Facebook group?
Most of the things we see on Bolt Action Facebook group are Spurley's memes.
I thought you got
for the 3 seconds before they're removed. Yeah,
I thought you got cancelled. Well, I've been working on an American Confederate army.
Oh, I've seen those. They're really cool.
I've seen some of them.
Really cool concept.
Badass. So all the infantry's done. I've just been playing around with the vehicles and the tanks. I was forging ahead with them, in anticipation I had 2 local events to attend and then the WTC, but as everything got cancelled and canned, I'd take my foot off the gas and take it easy. There's no point rushing ahead to get stuff done. So
what do you use them? Do you use them as Americans or like as Germans?
They're just Americans.
Just Americans, cool. Just a fancy paint job.
Actually, it's straight up Dan's alley. They've got all the stuff. Veteran 105 Sherman, 6-man squads with bars, 8-man squads with flamers, a multi-launch. It's nothing you wouldn't be surprised to see in an army list.
Nice.
But yeah, so they're just generic American, but they're dressed up really, really well. And I've got all the, you'll have seen all the banners, the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
Regimental banners.
The best thing for me is how historically accurate early war they are.
Yeah, mate, that was the fuel to get this army done. Was like, I'm going to really, really shit up all the historical war games. Fucking lose their minds. They have online some of the comments.
It is history. You just have to add the word alternate at the front, and then it's fine.
Yeah. Alternate history. So somebody posted something like, why has the Confederate flag got this number of stars? Surely by 1945 it would have this, this, and this. And I didn't respond, but I'm like, I made it up in my head. Done. That's my headspace.
Looks cool. That's enough.
And some guy said it's like, oh well, the Civil War, it wasn't a war of conquest. If the South had won, there would still be a North, and there would be this, that. And I said to him, it's like, yeah, mate, but the North won, and there is no South.
It wasn't actually about slavery. It was about states' rights.
So anyway. So
how much fun have you had winding up people of the year? I mean, really.
I just love it. Yeah.
Just watching them implode. But I guess the one reason behind doing that, and I'll continue to expand it, is that there are great examples of almost every army and every theatre now done out there in the world. And I wanted something unique.
That's fair.
There it is. So that was it. So yeah, once I finish that off, I'm going to paint more, and including a squad of 10 native irregulars.
Why not? Sure. Are they just are they just hillbillies for Confederates? just be like farmers with shotguns.
God damn it, Billy Joe!
Hey, you best be getting off my land here, sir.
No, I think they're actually going to be representing Irish brigade.
Nah, that's not as fun as hillbillies.
So hillbillies.
Here's a bit of history for you. Irish immigrants fought on both sides of the Civil War. Mm-hmm.
Is that early, mid, or late?
All of them. All of them. But yeah, so that's your historical fact for the day. You can just hear the Americans having a meltdown.
Okay, so next month's pledges, Ali's going to be painting more Fox News listeners.
Can you do Donald Trump as a leader?
I can't wait to play those verses from China.
I'm number one on Facebook. That's me.
Pete, what are you going to paint this month?
Well, on top of doing my Sherman, I have attacked a pile of stuff that I should have, finished ages ago, which was my Age of Sigmar. Yeah, I know, filthy, really. Bolt Action Podcast mentioning that.
Dirty.
But they're more or less done now, so I will probably be painting this Jeep I've made.
Beep beep.
You're in quarantine, and all you're going to paint is a Jeep.
That's just his pledge for the month.
It's his pledge. He'll be painting loads of like Sigmar and stuff, but this is a Bolt Action Podcast, and
no one cares.
He's painting a He's painting a Western Front 1939 Stormcast army, where they turned up and annihilated the Germans. So yeah.
Yeah, with three MMG Celestar ballistas.
What bases? What bases are you putting them on?
I figured I'd put them on Martian bases.
Okay, so you know that only happened in the morning on 22nd of March, yeah? Don't not check the weather report. Fuck. Come on.
I mean, you're right. If the weather report goes one way, I've got to swap the Martian bases out for the moon bases.
Well, what I give you guys the choice of stuff to paint, because when the WTC was happening, I was in full gear of getting loads of stuff ready for the WTC.
What were you getting ready?
Well, that's the thing. One, I don't really know whether we'll be using it or not, because it would be giving it all the way when the lists are revealed, if they're ever revealed.
Tell us.
But then,
I've told you what I'm using.
Nice try, Scotland captain. No.
So I'm taking Americans.
There's that, but then I'm also basically I can carry on with more unnamed WTC stuff where Pete and Dan would just have to say yes he did it or not, because obviously I'm not sharing. Or I can paint a British Firefly tank, or I can test paint one of those Chinese buildings I got for the new board I'm setting up.
Oh, do the Chinese... do the Foo Dog.
So just before quarantine, the last convention we went to, literally like a few days before the lockdown came into place, we managed to sneak off to a convention, and I brought a new board's worth of terrain. So do you know the Chinese terrain the war bases do, Ali? I don't know if you've seen them. Basically, they do a range of like Shanghai-style Chinese buildings. And I spent loads of money, got 5 or 6 buildings, and I also got some Foo Dogs, and they look really cool. So I built them all, and that looks great. And I've now got, I guess I've got to the end of quarantine to get a new board's worth of stuff painted, so I could paint a building and get that all tested up and see how it goes.
Well, if that excites you, then yeah, go for it.
Well, it's terrain, something different, isn't it?
Yeah,
and because we're all racist here, even though they're Chinese buildings, we'll be using them as generic Eastern Asian buildings. There you go. Playing Japan, yeah, chuck them on. Playing Burma, yeah, put them on. It's all the same.
To be fair, what they're labelled as on the site is just East Asian. They call them Chinese or put some Chinese name to them, but the designs are just East Asian.
What are they made of? It's MDF?
It's like MDF, but then they've got like cardboard sections to allow like the curved roofs.
Cool.
Which look pretty cool, yeah. And I've got little resin Foo Dogs, which are.
Do they look like they'll be pretty durable?
Yeah. I reckon they'll survive getting trashed around in the club boxes. The only thing is, all the doors and windows are actually openable. They've got like the doors swing on hinges, and I'm kind of like, they look cool, but do I want to glue them shut?
Oh, that reeks of effort.
I've left them open for now, but when painting time comes, I may just go, you know what, fuck it. I
reckon glue the windows shut and leave the doors.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll try and keep them as open as we can, but if they all get to club and they start getting knocked, I'll just be like, alright, that's it. The PVA's coming out. You've all had your chance.
I tried giving you something nice.
I prepared this terrain. Can you keep it nice for 1 fucking minute? So yeah, I'll do a Chinese building then, of a veritable size. And I'm guessing, Dan, you're just going to fuck up more Japanese infantry bases?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and test some bases and see if I can figure a way to base the army that actually looks quite good whilst putting the water effects on. Because I just want to do that on it. So as well, if I get the bases sorted, I'm gonna paint one officer, fully officer and base, and have one model that I can say, right, this is now the start of the army, and I'm happy with this, and we're going to build it on this.
With your army list, Dan, have you got any tanks stuff in it?
Have I got any what? Sorry.
Are you putting any vehicles or tanks in the list?
I don't know yet. I might get some of those. What is it? SORA things, the shit ones that are 6+ slow tanks that look like mobility trucks. I just want
the
one
Roki
or two
or Shiki.
Yeah, the Roki or Shiki.
Yeah,
I might get one or two of them, but I do want to get a Kaishin Hoto. I think that's going to be my.
I guess the only reason I ask is I'm quite sure it was on the Juggernaut Facebook page or group that one of you guys, when you're doing vehicles, put them on bases.
Pete and Topher do that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought if it was yourself, you could do the water resin base on a slightly larger scale.
That could look really cool.
I think I am going to do. Any vehicles that I get will be the tanks, and they'll be going through the river, I think, and they'll be.
Yeah.
What would be really cool is if you kind of built the base up as like an angle, so it's like a riverbed and it's climbing itself out of the river. So if you do it like a very slight, like I don't know, 80-degree angle
the whole idea in my head, the idea is I want to do the bridge over River Banzai. So it's a bit of a stupid pun, but I want to do them kind of getting up to this river. A few of them are going over a bridge, so I'm going to do some like wooden slats on some of the bridge. Some of them are on just the grass walking up to the river, and then some of them are traversing through the river to the other side. And that's what the idea is for the display board. So I need to try and incorporate that into the models somehow. Like one of you guys suggested a sniper in a tree. So one of the bases is just going to be a tree on a 40mm base, and then it's just going to have like one dude as a sniper at the top, and that's going to be my sniper team.
Just so you know, you do want a piece of rope on the sniper to tie to the tree, because that's what they actually did.
Might be worth putting a dead body at the bottom as well, and someone goes, tree line is tight, and you just go, pretend it's the body on the floor. That also does exist.
I'll have his buddy hiding behind the tree at the bottom with like a pair of binoculars or something, just kind of peeking out. So.
Peeking, I get what you did there.
Giggity. But yeah, so that's going to be my pledge, is try and sort bases out. I haven't put a picture of the 10 guys that I did paint online, because I've had to destroy them off the base, so some bits need touching up and the models themselves aren't perfect, so I might just use them as experimental for the rest of the bases and then just chuck them all away at the end. So
have you thought of looking at the dug-in Japanese tank to actually put loads of water around it or something?
No, I haven't. But I've barely got past the concept of just doing the infantry yet. I haven't even decided what I want to do I haven't even thought of an army list yet. I just know that I want to have mostly infantry, those cool anti-tank tough fighter teams, and then like one or two vehicles. But I haven't come up with an army list yet, so I don't know what I'm doing past the test models.
And just for a laugh, there are amphibious tanks too.
Thematically, that might work, but they're mostly useless, aren't they? Amphibious tanks.
Yeah, they're mostly shit.
Right, so I think we're zeroing in on the end of this episode.
Oh, which one?
What? Which zero? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's 100 and they all died in a.
I think Pete was trying to suggest that which one is in which episode. Surely we can split this into two now.
Oh mate, once I've edited this down, it's gonna be about 20 minutes. I've got rid of all the shit.
It'll just be my awesome introduction, and that's it.
Any final points before we bid everyone goodbye and good night?
Well, I'll ask an open question. How did my interview go? Have I got a job?
I think you did very well, Ali.
Better than Sperling.
Yeah, you did good.
We could hear you.
It's almost like you're quite good at this podcasting malarkey. It's almost like you have your own that people could catch you on.
It's good that you could hear me, and I turned up on, and one more.
I mean, turning up on time, you beat Sheffy hands down.
Yeah, you've now been to half as many podcast records as Sheffy has, so one more and you get the job.
Wow.
Well, I hope we haven't put you off and you'll be happy to join us again at some point in the future when we've run out of other guest hosts we can cycle through and trim the fat.
No, of course, I mean, our original plan, though, Topher, as you'll probably mention at some point in the future, was, WTC warm-up podcasts, talking about army lists and stuff, and that's all been nerfed or put off, and however that plays out. So look forward to complete that task.
Once we know what is happening with WCC, we'll definitely get you on so we can start trying to work out what each other's doing without actually directly asking each other. Well, it'll be fun. we can just slag off what every other team's doing, it's fine.
Yeah, why don't we just do that?
Yeah, it's like 14 mortgage launchers, what bullshit? Mate, we've got 15, shut up! Right, so that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. If you're still with us, if you've logged off now, I'm fine. I'm clocking off as well. Till next time, have fun with COVID-19. Please do not die. Don't
literally have fun with it.
Yeah,
stay at home.
Yeah.
As Samuel L. Jackson has said, stay at home, motherfucker.
Yeah, just don't be a twat. Stay at home. Sit in your pants.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. If you're gonna touch your face, don't touch anyone else's face afterwards. Just kind of, let's all survive. There you go.
The more you stay in, the quicker this shit's done.
There we go. And then we can get back to proper shit like tournaments. Yeah.
Then we can actually get back to playing toy soldiers rather than just thinking about it.
Boom. So,
I want a game so badly.
I know.
Yeah. Any feedback, if you want to send it to us, especially about our format, emails at juggernautwargaming@gmail.com. Leave a comment or like or subscribe. God, I sound like a YouTuber. Speaking of YouTube, Gaz has set up a YouTube channel. Go check that out. Anything else?
Good night, everybody.
No. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Goodbye, grasshopper.
Adios, round eye.
You silly white man.
I'm not saying anything at this point because this is the bad bit that gets tagged on the end after the song.
That is exactly how this podcast works.
Yeah, not my first rodeo listening to that.
Somebody came prepared.
It's fine.
That's what your mum said.
Wait.